The Jason Gregor Show. On Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Connor McDavid wins it for Canada.
Well, a fantastic Friday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 and get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. For the month of February. And hey, Oiler fans, your team is back in action tomorrow. But for many of you, your favorite player, I'm assuming, Mr. McDavid, big goal, his biggest international goal, no doubt, of his career thus far in overtime. Exactly 15 years to the day when Sidney Crosby scored an overtime winner in the final to beat the United States. This time, it was McDavid on a set play. Makar rings it around. Marner's already in the corner. And then Marner finds McDavid, and he goes top shelf, which clearly was the shooting game plan on Connor Halley in that game, as you had Sam Bennett beating him upstairs as well. Nathan McKinnon threw a layered screen that we talked about with Kevin Woodley yesterday. And hey, how about Jordan Binnington? What a performance, especially in overtime. He was unreal for Canada. I was wrong on Jordan Binnington, and I don't think I'm in the minority on that one. So kudos to him. He stepped up. Maybe we should have known when he was wearing jersey 50 that he was going to step up. And symbolic. There'll be no 51. If you catch my drift. But it was, I think, an intense game. It was at times kind of a cautious game. Canada, I was still surprised how much dumping and chasing they had in that game. And you know what, though? It's back and forth. Canada scores first. They score pretty early on Nathan McKinnon. And then the United States comes barreling back, and they score twice. Now they got the lead. Now there's a little bit of angst in Canada. And then Sam Bennett, who I thought the minute Sam Bennett came in, like you think about, you know what Sam Bennett's first shift of this tournament was? It was right after the Matthew Tkachuk, Brendan Hagel fight. So Hagel went off the ice. Sam Bennett came on the ice. And he lined up. And trust me, him and Brady, he knew what was going on. He's like, let me go. He came off the bench, had a spirited tilt. And Sam Bennett, I thought, was a very good player for Canada all tournament. Added physical play. Yesterday, I thought he was their best player. I know McDavid won star of the game. He scored the big goal. But Sam Bennett, like, he had 6 shots at a time where there were 6 other forwards who had no shots. He was physical, around the puck all the time, scored a huge goal, great shot. And then, you know what? Hey, your best players, Connor McDavid said it afterwards. He didn't think he had his best game. I don't think he was bad, but, didn't have his best game in his words. But all you need is one shot sometimes. Not how many, it's when. And that was a monumental goal for McDavid and for Canada. And I'm sure many of you were enjoying it. I allowed my son to stay up to watch the overtime. We'd made a deal. I said, you can watch one full overtime. Then he probably would have had to go to bed. Although maybe dad would have changed his mind depending on the game. But at the long change in overtime, and there was lots of chances. And after the first 5 minutes, I was like, geez, somebody's going to score. There's too many chances here. It was much less cautious in overtime, funny enough, than we saw, I felt, in the game. And Binnington was great. And then, McDavid right off that faceoff had a chance. And, you saw Martin. If you watch that replay again, when the puck goes back to Makar in the right point, he's bringing it around. Marner's already in the corner. That is a set play to know what happens, and they want to find it off of it, and it worked, and Canada goes home. And, if you're an Oiler fan, you're watching that game, and obviously you're Canadian, but you're also an Oiler fan, that's like the perfect scenario. I don't think you could have picked a better scenario. They win. Connor McDavid scores a huge goal. Because make no mistake, there's pressure at that time. You're Connor McDavid. Right? There's pressure on McKinnon. But there's more pressure, I think, on McDavid, rightly or wrongly, because he, quote, hasn't won. I think it's kind of ridiculous, but nonetheless, they win. He scores the huge goal, the biggest goal of the tournament. And it's just, you saw the relief. Maybe relief's the wrong word. There's jubilation for sure and excitement. But you score that goal, man, and McDavid comes back. It's not like losing the game 7 and losing that game in a span of 9 months is less than ideal. And so you get a win, and obviously they feel good about it. And you know what? The fatigue factor for McDavid coming back to play tomorrow is infinitely less because there's a win. You're just excited. Right, him and Sam Bennett were childhood kids playing mini sticks together, and they scored the second and third goals in that game for Canada. So really good story. I love the whole tournament. I thought it was great. And you know what? To go into overtime with a lot of us called it to be 3. A lot of people thought it'd be a low scoring game. It turns out it was a low scoring game. And you know what? There's not much negative you can say from my vantage point about that tournament, Connor Halley. Anything for you?
No, and I mean, happy to admit that my skepticism was wrong. I was curious how it was going to play. Obviously, that was answered very quickly with the intensity levels that we did see from the tournament. But, I mean, people were getting into it. Like, there was national pride on the line. They wanted to win so bad. Matthew Tkachuk, I mean, that's a normal regular season game. Does he lace him up? Who knows? We'll see how serious the injury is. But he tried to gut it out there. He wanted to win. And the way it capped off in that dramatic fashion with the face of the NHL scoring the game-winning goal, you probably couldn't script it any better. So I absolutely loved it and enjoyed it. We were right into it on the edge of our seat in overtime. And luckily, the baby did not wake up when we screamed when McDavid got the win.
Hey, buddy,
so,
you want to teach your child to have noise in the house.
yeah.
I'm telling, it's the biggest mistake parents make is when they have their house too quiet, then you can never have anybody over. Shh, the baby's sleeping. No, have the baby fall asleep in noise rooms. It's way, way better. Number one big mistake parents will make is wanting to have utter quiet all the time. Kids actually, well, you know how it is. You read the book, The 5 S's.
Mm-hmm.
They actually like the noise. It's much better. When they're in mom, it's like a vacuum in there. It's super loud. So they actually say the first 3 months of their life, you want them to be in noise in noisier situations. Read the Happiest Baby on the Block, man. That book is unreal. And the 5 S's. Anybody out there who's done it, highly recommend it, man. It works. It 100%.
Shush him to bed every night.
Oh, yeah. It works like a dream. Like a dream. And that was a dream for Canada. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. You can't overlook. I don't think it had anything to do with the actual game on the ice. But because of all the 51st state BS and the other disrespectful comments that have come up lately, I know there's a lot of Canadians like, hey, we're playing for a little bit more. Chantal Kreviazuk, changes a word. Two words in the anthem. I know at the time people didn't like it, and then afterwards you realize what she said. All right, I don't mind it. Kind of cheeky. Nothing wrong with it at all. So it just added to it. It added to it a lot. And, the game didn't disappoint. It was a close game. It was back and forth. There were some big hits, more from the U.S. Over Canada. And, when I look at that roster, really good roster. Some guys, I think, punched their ticket. Jordan Binnington, if there was a lot of skepticism for sure. But, Jordan Binnington's probably put himself in a situation that he's at bare minimum going to be one of the goalies going to the Olympics now, for sure, in a calendar year. Does he be the starter? I don't know. Lots can change in the calendar year, but I think he'll be one of the 3 for sure. Thomas Harley's opened up a lot of eyes. He wasn't on the team originally. When he came in, played very well. And he'll just have a year more experience. Probably going to play even a bigger role here with Dallas with the injury to Heiskanen. So I think that's a guy who's opened up some eyes. You look at a few others. Sam Bennett. Sam Bennett to me would be a lock on that team moving forward. How could he not be? He adds a different element to your team. And it's not just a physical element, but he adds that element. And then, he scored a big goal. He played very disciplined. I thought anytime he was on the ice, there was way more positives than negatives. So he's a guy. There's going to be some players that, Canada just won and they play in a year, but lots can change in a year. I think this is one thing Canada would like to get a little bit quicker up front. I could see, maybe a Mark Stone, Brad Marchand, potentially. There could be some others. You could see some new faces, some new blood between now and then. And that's fine. That's how it should be. You're not going to bring back the exact same team. You don't do it in a Stanley Cup, which happens a year later. Right? Well, actually, it starts 3 months later. So there's always going to be some changes to the team, but a lot of the core guys will be there. And you know what? It'll be fun to have the Olympics. It's going to be different. I'm not sure every game in the Olympics is going to be as intense as the games in this series because obviously it's a little bit longer. There's more teams. There's going to be less talented teams top to bottom, especially Russia out, and there's still going to be 12 teams in the Olympics. It's not one of them is not going to be Russia. So the overall talent until you get to the quarterfinal, semifinals probably isn't going to be as exciting as this past tournament was, and maybe future World Cups will be. So we'll see. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I was going crazy with Binnington being the goalie, but, man, I've never been so happy to be proven wrong. Good for him. Comes from AMS. Hey, guys, which borderline players do you think played themselves off? Who's coming out for Hyman and Bouchard? Well, I don't think Bouchard's a lock on that team, people. I know Oilers fans love him, and that's great, but I don't think he's a lock to go on that team. Right? You have to look at right side, left side. Who's going to be in? Who's not going to be in? Bouchard gets back to playing the way he was all of last season. Yeah, he'll be in consideration like he was this year, but it's not a lock. There's no question. Zach Hyman, I said it, and so it's not I told you so, but Zach Hyman being on that team to me would have been a no-brainer for continuity factor of McDavid. He's also a pretty quick skater. Plays a certain role. I wouldn't mind him on the team. And now, depending on how the rest of the season goes, like Mark Scheifele could make a strong argument. He's got the most goals of any Canadian this year. Pretty good player. He could be in the mix. So there'll be a few. It's too hard to say who's a lock, but I think some guys maybe up front, they might be looking for a little bit more speed. Hey, boys, that McDavid goal reminded me of his overtime winner versus the Flames. Yeah, similar. You're right. Johnny Gaudreau didn't get it out, and then McDavid made him pay the different area of the ice, but still a really good shot. Hey, guys, I'm happy with the tournament. My one complaint is no break for the players. I would have preferred the final game Wednesday so McDavid could have had an extra day off before the game on Saturday. Brad, I think there's people are making way too much of this going back to play. 2010 in the Olympics, Crosby played 2 days. And remember, when they won the Olympics, you remember Sidney Crosby kind of didn't know where, they partied hard at the Olympics in Canada. Probably way harder than they partied last night. I'll tell you that right now. So they'll be fine. Connor McDavid, he's going to end up playing 4 games in 6 days, right? Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday. They do that in the regular season. The travel from Boston to Philly to Washington isn't crazy. He went on the Flyers charter, according to a spec, to get there with Konechny and Sanheim and Tortorella. They'll be fine. And they won. So your emotions going to be better. He'll probably sleep like a champ tonight. And I'm guessing he'll have a really good sleep in Washington tomorrow. That's the advantage of back-to-back in the afternoon games because they play the game at 1. They'll be into Washington by 7:30. Right? Maybe even earlier. So, you know what? He'll have a great night's sleep. There's no morning skate on either day. So I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as some said. So it's good. Hey, guys, how do you think Bennett and Tkachuk get along in the Florida dressing room? No, I think they're fine. Right? It's not personal. Right? Both guys want to win. How can you be mad at one another? I think they'll be fine. It's a unique situation in athletics. Anybody out there who's ever played against your good friends or people you get to know, you can't stand somebody when they're an opponent and then you love them as a teammate. And I think those two guys would fall into that category very well. Hey, guys, it went to overtime. My first thought was what kind of idiot I was. I didn't bet on McDavid to score. I guess. Well, it's always easier in hindsight, to say, hey, I can't believe I didn't pick it. But it wouldn't be a bad one for sure. Hey, guys, do you think Olympic refs will change the way the team is selected? Well, it's not so much the officials. It's just the rules. The rules are different. But I don't know. Like, I know people say, well, Tom Wilson can't be as effective. Well, if you're having clean body checks, those are still allowed. But the rules are different. I'd have to go back and look. I can't recall there being one power play in a game. Although, really, like, how many missed infractions were there? I talked to my buddy who's a linesman, and he lines in the WHL. And he said, I know, because when the Americans were screaming, and I get it. In the moment, it looked like Canada had too many men on the ice on a change. He says, but no one touched the puck. There's no play made on the puck. Guys coming off and on. That happens a few times. Usually you don't call it. That was his where he's officiated, for many years. So it was interesting on that one. I said, hey, did they get away with one? He goes, you'd be surprised how many times you see a little bit of a miscommunication. Guys go on, guys come off. Now, if you touch the puck, for sure. But when you don't touch the puck, you don't make a play on it. A lot of times it doesn't get called. So there you go. Hey, Greg's, I love the whole tournament and the finish. Can't help but think the Olympics are just one step above. Something about having all the countries, the team being together for 2 to 3 weeks, allow them to get even more fantastic finish. The Olympic gold just seems to mean more. From Aaron. Well, in a way, and I'll say this though, Aaron, when as you look at the overall games played in the tournament, yes, there's more countries, but the countries aren't more competitive. Slovenia, Switzerland, Slovakia, they're all a tier below. They just are. Now, when Russia's in the tournament, which they won't be in the Olympics, yeah, that adds a fifth team that has a chance to win, no question. So I do agree that the prestige of the Olympics gives you the perception that it's bigger. But for NHL alone, I don't know if the quality of play is going to be any better. I just don't think it is. And when you consider how the rules are with fighting and everything else, there's just certain elements that won't be there. But yes, the Olympics are bigger because it's the Olympics. But does that mean the quality of play is better? It's a great discussion, great debate. Greg, you can always tell people who played or did play sports, you always go harder against your good buddies from El Nate. There is some truth to that, right? It's like good buddies or rivals, and you just start to loathe them and hate them, and just it's automatic, right? Think about sometimes if you played mini sticks in your basement against a sibling or against one of your friends, which ones get heated quicker? Sometimes you and your sibling. You love your sibling, but you're like, oh my God, I want to beat him. Oh, it's the worst. So gets everyone fired up. Guys, I have to say I was super impressed with Binnington's composure. Knocked down twice, being constantly chirped. Must have felt like a god after those 2 huge saves in overtime. Well, you know what was interesting, Big Easy, about Binnington? And we talked to people about Jordan Binnington, and he said the thing about Binnington is his self-belief is so high. He believes he can be the best goalie in the league. And he feels he can make any save. And that doesn't waver. And there is such value in having a true self-belief in yourself. Because trust me, people are always going to doubt you. Oh, there's people who doubt McDavid. He's been considered the best player in the league. Oh, he hasn't won a cup. He ain't good, right? Remember Ovechkin? All of a sudden he wins a cup, and now suddenly he's a different player. And it's just, you're always going to have doubters. You can't worry about the doubters. And you don't spend too much time, listening to the pats on the backs or feeling the pats on the backs. Those guys are so driven and motivated. And, Binnington, hey, he obviously loves playing in Boston. No question about it. Wins the cup there. Obviously had that performance last night, and he was solid. And, you got to make those saves. At the key time, people aren't going to remember the goals afterwards in the prelims. They're going to remember that game, specifically the overtime. So good for him. It's always great to see, someone come in and have a huge performance like that at a key moment, because that's what every athlete strives for. I don't care if you're U13 right now. When you're into the final of minor hockey week, kids are like, oh, I want to score today. You just do, right? It's just how it is. You play a regular season game, your kids get to play at Rogers Place. All of a sudden the game means a little bit more, and you just a little bit more excitement to it. So it's always great when someone's able to step up when it matters. We got a great show today for you. Tim Saunders will join us. Of course, we'll go to Philadelphia. The Oilers are playing there tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. We'll have the pregame show here at 10 o'clock with Andrew Walker and Mr. Paulson. We got Lorianne Munzer joining us, Alan May, Lowdown with Lowetide, Al Mitchell. Craig Button will be by. We got Spec. We got a special Friday edition with Livingston. Wanye Gretz will be by. The 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. So it is a loaded show. We'll go to Philadelphia next when we return to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And keep the text coming, 833-401-1440 in our E-Well inbox.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Hey, it's Andrew Walker, host of the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show, which you can check out before all the games this season. A big thank you to Cross Mitsubishi for their support. We are Sports 1440, Edmonton Sports Leader.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Dang, last season you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang, they didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
The Edmonton Firefighters Rooftop Campout for Muscular Dystrophy is starting February 24th. Edmonton firefighters are again braving the elements by camping on the roof of Fire Hall number 2. But this year, they've decided to add a little twist and will be starting the rooftop campout with no camping equipment. The more money they raise for muscular dystrophy, the more equipment they'll get to survive an Edmonton winter, with the final goal of getting off the roof and helping this incredible cause. Donations can be made now at any Edmonton Fire Hall or online at edmontonrooftopcampout.ca.
Planning for your future. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your 2024 taxes, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams, whether it's retirement or your first home. Don't wait. The deadline to qualify for 2024 tax deductions is March 3rd. Learn more at visioncu.ca. Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Dr. Vance, does a hair transplant have to look like a hair transplant? There's a guy at work, his is totally obvious.
My goal is to give every one of my patients a full, natural-looking head of hair. So I stay up to date on the latest innovations. This is science, and more importantly, an art. I do things differently and move more hair than is normally done, resulting in a thicker look that is also more natural.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Epcor. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, making them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community league or city rink that is safe for you. Think twice and stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday. How are you? Welcome to the Gregor Show, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Go to GameSenseAB.ca. Learn more. Oilers skated today in Philadelphia. Matt Savoy is going to make his Oilers debut. It will be his second NHL game. He played a whopping 3 minutes and 55 seconds in his first game with Buffalo over a year ago. So I can guarantee you he'll be playing more minutes than that tomorrow. And you know what? Good for him. Should be an exciting time for him and his family. And had an article up at Oilers Nation today talking, Matt, about everything, and some really good quotes from his general manager, Keith Gretzky, talking about just his season and what's impressed him the most. Now, the Flyers come back. Of course, their head coach, John Tortorella, was with Team USA. They had Sanheim and Konechny on Team Canada as the victors, and they will jump back into it quickly tomorrow afternoon, 11 a.m. Edmonton time, which means a puck drop around 11:08 as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And for a limited time, the showdown menu is still there. The Big Mac David, which, of course, is a double Big Mac. Delish. You also can try the triple cheeseburger. They've got special Sundays. They've got the Happy Quarter Pounder for Austin Matthews. So try it right now. Limited time only at McDonald's. As Tim Saunders, voice of the Flyers, joins us now. And Tim, the Flyers, you look at where they're at. They're not out of the race, but at the same time, they're just as close to dead last in the East as they are to the wild card spot. There's a lot of teams kind of in the mix. When you see this Flyers season, how would you evaluate it 2/3 of the way through?
Well, Jason, I think probably a half a step back from where they were a year ago. I think they surprised some teams last year. This is year 3, I guess, if you believe John Tortorella, this is year 3 of the rebuild. It is going to be a process. They have decided they're going to do it right. The whole word rebuild was absolutely not in anybody's vocabulary in Philadelphia. You weren't allowed to say that word. Yeah. And they never thought that the fan base would take to that. But there comes a point where that's kind of silly. I think Danny Briere, Keith Jones, and the management now that's in place have played it straight with the fan base here. And I think they found out that in Philadelphia, if you're just honest with your fans and show them that you have a plan, they're reasonable and they're gonna get on board. And I think to a degree they have. John Tortorella was the right guy at the right time to kind of rebuild that room. I hate to use the word, the surroundings in the room, the culture in the room needed to be changed. So the first year of his rebuild was kind of assessing what they had. Year 2 was kind of addition by subtraction because they needed to get certain guys that weren't really fitting what Torts wanted to put together. They kind of subtracted those personalities. Not to say that they haven't had success. In some cases, they have elsewhere. It's just a matter of finding the right mix. I think that process continues. And, they don't want to just make the playoffs. It's not enough to just make the playoffs. They want to contend. And to do that, I think you got to take a step back, take a few years, and do it the right way.
Looking at their season, they've got the young star in Michkov who's come in. He's got 16 goals, 36 points in 55 games. Pretty solid numbers overall for a rookie. It's a tough league for him. When you look kind of just beyond the numbers, What's the best part of his game, and what are some of the elements that he's looking to improve on?
Well, I think his real challenges have been more physical and maybe to a degree mental in terms of the schedule and the grind of an NHL season. I don't think he was quite prepared for that. I don't know that at that age, having played in the KHL, you really could be. He's amazingly competitive. The skill is undeniable. He'll make plays that nobody on the ice can make, but it's a matter of physically being up to an NHL full season. This is going to be such an important summer for him to recognize that grind kind of got to him at times this year and limited his effectiveness. I think if he spends the time that they're going to ask him to spend this summer in preparing for next year, I think you're going to see a completely different player. But having said all that, he's still one of the most skilled guys on the ice, especially below the goal line. When he's behind the net, he's as dangerous as anybody in the NHL.
You look at the Flyers, and I'm looking up and down the roster. You know, Kuzmenko is a pen and UFA. They just acquired him in a trade. Eric Johnson. No, that's it as far as pen and UFAs. Now, I guess Cal Peterson, but he's in the minor, so I don't really include him. He comes off the books this year. I'm looking, they got $6 million extra in cap space from the buried Cal Peterson contract, along with, Tony DeAngelo buyout, and some of Cam Atkinson's buyout drops down even more. Are they going to spend that money with the cap going up, or is it more like, yeah, we might fill out like 1 or 2 year deals, but they're not suddenly going to try to go out there and overspend on big name free agents?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I don't think they're there yet. I mean, they're not in a position yet where they can go find a big name free agent and think that that's going to be the final piece. They're not that good yet. They're not there yet. They're amassing assets at this point. They've got 6 picks in the first 2 rounds of the draft, 3 in the first and 3 in the second. I'm not suggesting that they're going to use all of those picks. In fact, the trade with Calgary, they added another second-round pick on top of all of that. So it's a matter of managing the assets, turning some of those draft picks into potential deals. They're not looking for guys in their mid-30s. They're looking for a guy that could grow into a number 1 center, which is probably the biggest need on this team. But there are several things that they've got to address. So, no, I don't think they're going to be big buyers in the offseason, but getting Michkov here when they did, making the move to move on from Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee, because I think they made the conscious decision that given what they were going to be due financially in the next few years, in the case of Morgan Frost, Farabee was already signed. I don't think they think that those two are going to develop into the players that they hope they would and fit the time frame. So I think it's more about continuing to manage assets, accumulate assets, and then strike when the timing is right. They're just not there yet.
When you look at this Flyers team, as we are joined by Tim Saunders, a voice of the Flyers, and Scott Laughton's name's been out there for a while that he was going to get dealt. Now, you mentioned they've already got 3 first-rounders. Getting another pick, well, that's great, but too often teams in rebuilds get rid of good players for picks, and we all know not every pick turns out. Like, is Laughton still a guy you think that they'd consider moving, or are they better off, keeping guys that are legit NHL players and just, start bringing up more youth to surround those established quality players?
Well, let me preface it by saying Scott Laughton might be the favorite guy that I've seen here in the 27 years I've been in Philadelphia.
Okay,
I think that highly of him. He is the epitome of a glue guy. But it's undeniable. There are guys like Laughton, Rasmus Ristolainen. They're going to listen to offers. They're not in a hurry to move guys like those. But if somebody wants to overpay and offers you something that you think exceeds what his value to the team at this point is, then I think they're going to listen. So I don't think it's out of the question that they'd move either one of those 2 players.
Goaltending. I'm sure John Tortorella is watching, Sam Ersson stand on his head for Sweden. He was unreal in that game and say, man, maybe we could get a little bit more of that. Now, Ersson's had games where he shows that, and then there's other games, and it's not all in him because the environment in front of him maybe isn't the best. But when you look at their numbers goaltending-wise, where are you on the goaltending front in Philly?
Well, let's be honest. They're still trying to overcome the loss of Carter Hart. That really set the franchise back. There's just no question about that. Sam Ersson was put into a position last year that he was never expected to have to be in, and he actually dealt with it very well. They overplayed him at the end of the season out of necessity, and Tortorella freely admits that. The only people that weren't surprised at how well Sam Ersson played the other night were the people that have watched him in Philadelphia here over the last couple of months. Since Christmas, he's 9-4-1 with a .920 save percentage. He's been consistently good. Can he be a full-time number one here in the future? I think that remains to be seen, but they've got great confidence in Sam Ersson, and he showed maybe some of the rest of the hockey world why that attitude is prevalent in Philly.
How's Drysdale played for the Flyers? I know there's obviously been some injuries at times, but overall, how's he looked?
He's a work in progress. I think if you look at Torts' history, he's had defensemen in various stops that he uses the term a rover, an offensive-minded defenseman that'll constantly look to jump in. They think Drysdale may have some of those tools, but it is absolutely a work in progress. Now, fortunately, the Flyers have an assistant coach here in Brad Shaw that has really worked well with young defensemen and have helped them along. Drysdale's numbers are not what they hoped they would be at this point. He's got 1 goal in 41 games, or his last 41 games. They want Drysdale to. In fact, Shaw talked about this today. He's not a point-a-game guy, but they'd like him to play as if he were. It's not a matter of reeling a guy like that in. They want to set him loose, get him comfortable, jumping into play, keeping his head up, and taking chances. It's a misnomer completely to think that John Tortorella doesn't want his players taking chances. He wants them to try to make plays, and they'll accept the mistakes that inevitably come with that. I think getting him into that headspace is still a work in progress. And, over the next year or so, they're going to figure out whether he can be that guy.
Tim, the power play of the Flyers 2 years ago was dead last in the league at 15.6%. Last year was dead last at 12.2%. This year it's 28th at 15.8%. So I guess a slight improvement from last year, but basically the same as 2 years ago. What is the biggest area of concern on this man advantage? Is it just lack of skill? What is it?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And to be honest with you, just getting in and setting up seems to be half the problem. There's no question that the power play has been a real sore point here the last few years. They just don't have enough high-end skill. Now, with Michkov coming here earlier, a couple of years earlier than they thought they'd get him here, that was a step forward. But, they don't have that huge cannon shot at the blue line like every team wants on their first power play unit. So I think they're still trying to piece guys in and over the next few years hope to find those players that can grow into those top power play guys. But I think more than anything, it's just a lack of high-end power play guys. Edmonton's got them.
Yeah.
A lot of teams got them, but it takes, you guys found out it takes a long time to build that.
Buddy, hey, I can tell you that, yes. And, rebuilds take a lot longer than people think. When I hear any team commit to it, I think a lot of people I've done the research on it. Most rebuilds are average 7-8 years. If you're doing a real rebuild and thinking, and it's, and so that's hard. It's a real hard commitment to want to commit to that long term. And then, and it could be sped up a bit if you hit on a few second and third round picks to become better than maybe you expect, right? That's the big difference.
And we were spoiled here for so many years under Ed Snyder. Before the cap, he was willing to just pull the checkbook out and make sure that the Flyers were always in contention, at least always a playoff team. But now it's not enough, as I said, to just make the playoffs. They want to be a real contender, and to do that, they've got to take a step backwards and build this the right way, which is, I think, what they're doing.
Really appreciate your time this afternoon, Tim. Enjoy the game tomorrow afternoon. Thanks so much.
Chase, good talking to you.
There you go. That's Tim Saunders from Philadelphia, where the Oilers and the Flyers. Just remember, that's an early puck drop tomorrow, just after 11 o'clock a.m. Edmonton time, both tomorrow and Saturday. So be prepared for, basically it's brunch, if you want to call it that. It's a legit brunch game for you tomorrow and Sunday. Who doesn't love a good Sunday brunch, man? I'm all over it. I love it. That might be a good idea. Might have to go out somewhere and get a good brunch on Sunday. Watch the game. That'd be nice. 2:40 when we return, Lorianne Munzer will join us. We got Alan May coming from Washington, Button, Mitchell, Speck, and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The 2025 Ram 1500 Motor Trends Truck of the Year in St. Albert Dodge is knocking 10% off the price. That's right, 10% off every single Ram 1500 they have in stock, and over 100 are available. These are the 2025's new interior and drivetrain options with increased horsepower and better fuel economy. Other dealers save their best deals for last year's model. At St. Albert Dodge, they're taking 10% off the newest, hottest truck on the lot. That's how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously... The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Centre's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
At Papa John's, we're not just in the business of making better pizza. We're in the business of making everything better. Ambitious? Perhaps. Delicious? You better believe it. Monday? Make it a pizza party. Sick of parenting? Get Papa John's on dinner duty. Date night? We've got the recipe for romance. With our never frozen dough and always fresh toppings, Papa John's is committed to making it all better. Get better today at papajohns.ca or visit any of our 50-plus locations across Alberta. Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
Something strange comes to Rogers Place.
Family Fun Sunday, your Edmonton Oil Kings look to capture a win from Gavin McKenna and the Medicine Hat Tigers in the annual Ghostbusters game.
Who you gonna call?
Meet Ghostbusters characters on the concourse during the game as members of the Alberta Ghostbusters take over.
Plus, at every home game, score Camelot Kids food combos for $10 or less. Family fun that's second to none. The Oil Kings Ghostbusters game.
Special puck drop at 6 p.m. Sunday. Great family entertainment at Rogers Place starts at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions, take one for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready? I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
I couldn't love it more. With no payments and no interest for 1 year.
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Being 30-30. Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers presents a massive 3-day unreserved heavy equipment auction at their Nisku site, February 26th to 28th, 8 a.m. Live on-site and online. On offer, core construction heavy equipment, trucks, trailers, nearly every industry covered. Register to bid online. It's free. Priority bids and on-site viewings start February 21st. Timed auction starts February 23rd. Demand for equipment is strong. Contact your local territory manager to consign. More at rbauction.com.
What would you do if you won $1 million in the Service Big Share contest? Maybe you'd have more time for... or do a little more.
This is your final boarding call for flight number 419.
Or finally, more... Entering to win the $1 million is easy. Just bring your savings to Service or add more to your account. The more you save, the more Service Big Share contest entries you get. Service Credit Union. Feel good about your money. Now open to Connect First members. Contest ends April 30th, 2025. Skill test required. For rules, visit service.ca/win.
Courses of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$2:45. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having yourself a lovely Friday. I'm guessing a little extra spring in your step. Today, as Canadians, a big win last night over the United States. Connor McDavid, the overtime hero, and your excitement and thirst for hockey will change, and now you'll get back to cheering for your team. If you're an Oilers fan, Flame fan, Canuck fan, doesn't matter because 28 teams will be in action tomorrow. Flames are actually one of the 4 who does not play tomorrow, but they will return on Sunday. Oilers are in Philly tomorrow, Washington Sunday. Then they're into Tampa Tuesday, Florida Thursday, Carolina next Saturday for a pretty challenging 5-game road trip. And we'll see how the Oilers do. They haven't played great going into the break, but they should be refreshed like the other teams. And to me, if you go 3-2 in this road trip, that's actually a really good road trip. And that's why tomorrow's game, I think, is important because Philly, no question, is the weakest of the 5 teams. The other 5 are all top 6 teams in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. So it definitely will not be easy. Although probably won't face Matthew Tkachuk and the Florida Panthers. Tkachuk, of course, didn't finish last night's game, was seen limping pretty badly going out of the rink. So we'll see if he takes a week, if not longer. You saw Shea Theodore after that game when they announced getting their medals. He's got a broken right wrist. So he is out. Won't be surprised to see him go on LTIR for Vegas here momentarily when they come out of the break, potentially. So you got a few other guys maybe nicked up. We'll see. But definitely Tkachuk probably not going to play. And obviously Theodore is out for a while with a broken wrist. I guess it depends which bone and how serious it is. So we'll see. Either way, that's a big loss for Vegas. And hey, that might be the difference for the Oilers finishing first or not in the Pacific Division. Now let's welcome in gold medalist Lorianne Munzer, also Mentos coach, joins us every Friday. Lorianne, how you doing?
Doing awesome. How are you doing, Jason?
Pretty good. It's it's exciting game last night. I know you had a class, so you were running your class while keeping an eye on the game at the same time.
Absolutely, that was hard. That was really tough.
I thought you guys might just say, "Let's pause it for the periods, watch the period, and then we'll go hard at intermission." Right? Blow our brains out for intermission, and then get a rest, and then blow our brains out again.
Oh, that's a great idea. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But one of my athletes, what they did was every time Canada was on a breakaway, they did a sprint.
Oh.
And I said, well, how many were there? He said there was about 10 of them in the first little bit. And he was just like almost flatlined.
Like just rushing up the puck, you mean up the ice?
When Canada was rushing, he would like bring it up about 5 RPMs.
All right.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah, find some way to challenge yourself for sure. Now we talked a little bit last week about the proper on cycling and getting the proper rotation and how super important that is. And especially with the melt on, we're going to see a lot of people probably finally coming out of hibernation here and getting on their bikes and, the importance of that. But today, being the mental coach, I want to focus on just the positivity for a lot of people. There's more light outside. And now the weather, all of a sudden, everybody, like you come up and how much that actually can impact you positively in whatever training you're doing.
Oh, it's major. It's like everything right there. Like number one, we're getting lighter, longer, later. And that does so many good things for the mind, for the body, the soul, and for activities, right? Like I'm just gnawing at the bit to get out on my fat bike because I've got the challenge once a month to do a really long ride. So I've been waiting to go out and do my 50K bike ride on my fat bike. So I got my tire fixed. And you know what it was? The valve stem actually had come loose. So all the air dissipated out. But the sports are going to be coming top of mind, right? You've got hockey. We just came off last night, an incredible game. And it's like, okay, there we are. That sets the stage right there. So pair that together And yeah, everybody's going to start thinking ideas. What do I want to do? What's going on? Where can I jump in? Where can I join in?
Now, I know that, there's always the joke, there's old man strength for people that were, good athletes. If you're strong at a younger age in your life, it carries on later on. It's been 20 years since you won the Olympics, but like when you're cycling today, even now, like what's an average? Like, do you go 20K every day on the bike? How often do you cycle? How far do you go?
I'm indoors right now. So we do 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday nights for 75 minutes, and then Saturday mornings for an hour. And then
when you do 75 minutes, like what are you doing?
Oh my gosh, we're doing all kinds of stuff. Proper warm up, proper cool down and a stretch. And then the work that we're doing is we're doing intervals. We're doing 3-minute intervals, 5-minute intervals, putting in a sprint. Sometimes they're at the start, sometimes they're at the end. Sometimes we do staircases up. So shorter to longer intervals, like a minute, 2-minute, 3-minute, 4 minutes, and then you got to break, do it again.
And then do you rest? Like if you go hard for a minute, do you rest a minute or do you rest double?
If we're going and doing the staircase, it's like 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off. So you're working with the different intensities. The intensity on is like 85 to 90%, sometimes higher of your maximum. And then you come down to about 65 to 75% recovery.
Right.
And that's where I find the most interesting thing happen with the athletes and with the group that I'm training is because, well, what is 75%? What is 65%?
Yes.
So you take 220 minus your age. That's just the general gist of it.
Heart rate?
Heart rate. Yeah, 220 minus
your age?
Minus your age.
So if you're 30, you got to keep your heart rate at 190?
If you're working at 100%.
Oh, okay.
But we're not going at 100%.
So then you take 75% of
that.
190.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I can get around that math. That makes
So
sense.
then you're working within 3 zones, a low, a
Still
medium,
pretty, yeah.
and a high. And, if you're redlining it, it's about 85% and above. If you're going endurance where we could talk, we could ride for 6, 8, 10 hours, you're going for a long, long ride. You're working between 55% to 75%. Those are the 3 zones that I like. It's easy to navigate. You just have to remember 2 numbers and away you go.
Now, do you find, obviously you train, you're a sprinter, but
Yes.
you do long rides, but
I try not to.
yeah, but
yes.
but when you're a sprinter and you're training for sprinting, but even if you're a long distance, because I know long distance runners, there's been a big change now in how long they run in one set time, right? They've studied the science behind it that it's better because then it just becomes mental. But for your anaerobic capacity, you're better off training at higher ratio for shorter time.
Yeah, it's like what they call a HIIT, high intensity training.
Yeah.
So you're going for, you could do them on minutes, minute on, minute off, minute on, and try and do 10 in a row. It's like, yeah, you're cooked by the end of it. Or 10 seconds on, 50 seconds off, and then start flipping the numbers down. So then it would become 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off. And then you're at 30. That's
hard.
Worse. That's worse than a minute on, minute off, because it's a higher intensity.
Yeah.
But then it all depends, Jason, on what are you training for? Where
Right.
are you? And do you have a good base? A lot of people go, oh, I'm going to get off the couch, and then you get right in. And that's good. That's good. But the thing is, they go too hard.
And
And
then
that's something we talked about last week.
get injuries.
Right? Yeah. Or you just get so frustrated because you're cooked. You're just tired. And it's just, I can't sustain this.
What about the balance between in the saddle to then weight training to get your legs stronger? How does that balance each other out? Like, are you doing, if you're biking Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for argument's sake, are you doing like a lot of full body workouts on Tuesday, Thursday? How do you have to balance that? So, because eventually you got to lift some weights, I would assume, to get stronger. You can't just bike.
Exactly. Again, you work through the periodization. So you're building your endurance, then you're building your power. Then we used to do you go to 2 RMs, 2 rep max. We never did 1 because of injury. We always did 2. I don't know if that is a great idea or if it's maybe more like 3. If you're going that far, you want to be able to convert it. So I was thinking last night was time trial. I actually had a leg day, but I decided to forego it because I wanted to have a good time trial. So again, it's mixing and matching it. If it is on a day that really counts, I wouldn't suggest doing the leg workout, but I break it legs on one day, upper body another day, but then the upper body is split between 2 workouts. You do biceps, triceps, and chest, and then I work the back and the shoulders on the other day. So
Right.
there's 2 upper body and then 1 leg day, and it's on I guess a 3-day split is what you call it. And I just rotate it in, and That's it. That's all. It lands on the day that it
And
lands.
then what about an off day? You have one off day a week?
Yes, always Monday. And I cannot break that habit.
Always Monday.
Monday was always a rest day because on the weekends, Saturday, Sunday, we would have stage racing when I was doing road, or you'd be racing competition. And you need a day off. So it was always Monday. And then Tuesday you start ramping.
Now, if you did yoga on a day off, does that count?
On Monday. Yep. That was good. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's still a rest day because the yoga that I was doing, you could even do Ashtanga or Bikram yoga, which is
just hot yoga.
It's sequencing. Yeah. The Ashtanga is a sequence as well, but it's not speed.
Like flow yoga? Is that what, like, I'm a yoga rookie. So is that what is flow yoga? Well, that's just like when I'm assuming just going like I've signed up, I got my cards, I'm going once a week. I'm trying now. And I've realized I don't like yoga if I'm not in the hot room. I don't like it. I find I'm in there, I'm pretty tight. And if I don't get in a hot room where like I get in there 10 minutes before the class even starts, I've got that glaze on and I'm like, okay, I feel a little bit better. And I find I'm just more lubricated, in my limbs. If I sit in the room, even if it's those 25-degree rooms, which is nice, it's not cold by any stretch, but it's totally, and my mindset, I'm just like, I ain't getting anything out of this. So I don't like it. So now I only go to the 40 degree class. Now I'm not going in there and doing like the super hard, like I barely know the names of the workouts, right? Like I need one of those cue cards. So I'm like, oh, this is what this is. But I just find mentally for me, I feel better in that room.
And that's the beautiful part is like, go where you love to go, where it feels good, where the body's limber, where it's moving and stuff. Some of the other yogas are more breathing based. And it's like, you got to quiet that drunken monkey on acid because it's just nattering. And you just figure out where it is that you love to go. Yeah.
Lastly, what about when you're doing all the physical training we talk about? Is Monday like a mental day off? How do you mix in mental training with physical?
Some people go longer. They spend a lot of time. I actually would go backwards if I would spend a lot of time. I wouldn't spend more than 5 minutes once or twice a day. Once, absolutely. I would go.
And what's a 5 minutes of mental work? Like for anybody out there who wants to try, like how do you start? What's a 5 minute
Oh my goodness.
mental workout?
Well, number one, you start with your breathing because you got to center yourself. And then I would imagine myself on the track. So we have 3 laps for a flying 200
So you
meter.
close your eyes, visualize?
I'm closing my eyes. I'm sitting in a quiet position or I'm hunched over my bikes. I've got my hand on the handlebars and I'm going right through it and I start warming up. So you start going nice and smooth as you're going around the track. You're coming out of turn 1. You're looking towards turn 2. You're into turn 3. You're coming out into turn 4. And then you start winding it up. So where are you on the track? You're up by the rail on the track. So then you're literally riding the track, but you're like in your chair or you're on the floor. And then you start winding it up and then you're powering it through, which we call the jump. So you're exploding out of the saddle. So how are your arms bent? And this is where sometimes you stop the movie because you're going, oh, no, that's the wrong position. Back up the movie and then get in that right position, go a couple pedal strokes or a couple movements ahead because you want to master it so that it becomes a record. It becomes like the perfect execution. And you just deliver it like, where am I looking? Where am I riding? And there's different elements. Sometimes you're looking at, okay, I'm on this part of the track, riding up high, imagining I'm touching the rail, or I'm on the black line, which is the lowest part of the track. So I've got my hand left and I'm push steering really hard. So just like on a motorcycle, and you're trying to fight the G-force so that you're not getting flipped up. You actually come down. And then as you come out of turn 4, where are you looking? You have to look beyond the finish line. And then you're going to the finish line and then you're throwing your bike so that you're getting the fastest time and then done.
So would you start at a minute and move up from there? Can you do? Yeah. You can't do 5 minutes.
And
right
if you can't hold a minute, that's okay. Go to 30 seconds. Sometimes first it starts off
I can barely hold
breathing.
20.
Well, you're past the 15-minute mark, so that's or the 15-second mark, but it's just you want to build it up. And sometimes it's just the visualization is how much can I calm myself down? So get to a neutral zone or a neutralizing, and it comes with your breath, Jason. And it's just focusing on the in-breath, focusing on the out, and then you're visualizing waves coming in, waves going out. And can you do that for a minute and then take a minute break and then go back on for another minute? So that's a really great place to start for anybody who's wanting to.
Awesome. Lorianne, have yourself a wonderful weekend. Good luck training. We'll talk to you next Friday.
You betcha. Have a great day.
Lorianne Munzer joins us every Friday here in sports. 1440 Olympian, and now she is a mental coach as well. Coming up, we got Alan May, we got Wanye Gretz, got Lowdown with Mitchell, Craig Button, Spec, loaded show. But first, let's get to the con man in a sports 1440 update, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where they are hiring HVAC installers and plumbers. For the right candidate, basically get a hiring bonus. Also, they have RRSP matching, great bonus incentives, as well as tuition reimbursement and more. Apply today at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
One more off day for the Edmonton Oilers. They'll be in action tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., taking on the Flyers. Our pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson gets going at 10. The Vancouver Canucks have signed goaltender Kevin Langan into a 5-year, $22.5 million contract extension, with regular starter Thatcher Demko only playing 17 games this season with injury. The 29-year-old Langan has kept the Canucks in playoff contention with a 19-8-7 record. In the association tonight, the Toronto Raptors will host the Miami Heat. That gets going at 5:30 from the Scotiabank Arena. You also have the Knicks and Cavs. Wizards host the Bucks. Pelicans taking on the Mavs. Jazz up against the Thunder. And the Warriors heading up to Sacramento. In the WHL, the Edmonton Oil Kings are in action. They'll take on the Medicine Hat Tigers in Medhat. That one gets going at 7 o'clock. The two teams will meet again Sunday night in Edmonton at 6. In the BCHL, the Spruce Grove Saints hosting Trail, and then the Crusaders up against Coquitlam. Both those games start at 7 o'clock. In the AJ, you've got the Kodiaks hosting GP, Whitecourts in Bonnyville, Devon hosting Calgary, Olds in Canmore, and Fort Mac up against Drayton Valley. Playoffs going at the collegiate level as the Golden Bears hockey program takes on the UFC Dinos. Game 1 tonight, Game 2 tomorrow, Game 3 goes Sunday if needed. All games 7 o'clock starts down at Clare Drake, and the Griffins in Vancouver taking on UBC's game schedule, except all those games get going at 8 o'clock. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by our co-host, Wanye Gretz. Also, we'll hear from Alan May, Washington Capitals analyst, and another edition of Cam Tate's 2-Minute Warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
At Papa John's, we're not just in the business of making better pizza. We're in the business of making everything better. Ambitious? Perhaps. Delicious? You better believe it. Monday? Make it a pizza party. Sick of parenting? Get Papa John's on dinner duty. Date night? We've got the recipe for romance. With our never frozen dough and always fresh toppings, Papa John's is committed to making it all better. Get better today at papajohns.ca or visit any of our 50-plus locations across Alberta. Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean. Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Legacy Heating and Cooling offers no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. So, when you wake up to no heat,
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
If you need it immediately with no overtime rates. If you need it immediately and want to combo it with AC.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace. It could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hey, did you know you can get a free drink today?
Nice. I love free drinks.
Yeah, Booster Juice called your name today on the Booster Rewards app. So you get a free smoothie, booster mixer, or fresh juice.
Well then, why are we still sitting here just talking about it?
Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. 2 names every day, all February long. Must be a Booster Rewards app member. For complete details, visit boosterjuice.com.
New Edge Construction wants you. We are hiring for several positions. Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. A strong team, competitive wages, retention bonuses, and current model equipment are what awaits you at New Edge. Go to newedgeconstruction.com. That's NUEDGE construction.com.
Join a leading civil construction group in the Edmonton region. Start your career now. Go to newedgeconstruction.com.
86 deliveries made.
11 friends' houses moved.
9 renos completed, and the next one on its way.
Measure your Tundra's capability in memories, not just mileage. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2025 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $152 weekly for 60 months at 5.19% with $6,699 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
305, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having yourselves a lovely Friday. It is Positive Friday. And our house, that's pizza night, baby. Can't wait. Also, of course, you don't have to wait much longer. It'll be 20 hours, and the Oilers are back in action tomorrow morning, just after 11 o'clock, as they take on the Philadelphia Flyers. And Matt Savoy will be making his Oilers debut. It will be his second NHL game, although his first one, hey, it's a big thrill. You get to play in it, but he had a grand total of 5 shifts, and one of them was 14 seconds, and he played under 4 minutes. So I think you will see Mr. Savoy getting a much better opportunity. He's obviously a better player now than he was 18, November? So yeah, I guess only 16 months ago when he made his NHL debut was actually November 10th. In Buffalo against the Minnesota Wild, but now he'll be in Philly, and then they got Washington, Tampa, Florida, and Carolina. He definitely isn't going to get the easy teams in the NHL. Like Philly's the easiest one. After that, you got 4 playoff teams, 4 of the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference. I'm Jason Gregor. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, and you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, and you will get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. Just use the promo code Gregor50. As we welcome in the studio from Oilers Nation, Wanye Gretz. Wearing your Team Canada jersey still, hey?
Did you follow the game last night? Were you watching?
Yeah, I heard it was going to be a big game, so it was fun. It was exciting to watch. It was like the perfect ending for Oiler fans. Their country wins and their star player scores the biggest goal.
Canada was going through a bit of a time. I don't know if you follow the news, but we were going through a bit of it. So I think the whole country, it felt like, needed to have this win.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all. There was not even that they needed it. It was just like, it was in a way you feel like this is just the one to say, hey, you know what? Ain't happening. You're not taking, and I will say this, it's kind of interesting. It's too bad that our current prime minister, maybe his best 6 weeks of being a prime minister have been ever since he said he was resigning. And it's just like, why can't politicians just be outspoken and say this stuff you need them to say when they're actually in power? But anyway, he actually had a pretty good tweet. Give him credit for that. But nonetheless, it's it definitely added to a little bit. I don't think it changed any of the on-ice stuff. I just think it added to the feeling, especially for Canadians coming in to this whole tournament. And and gave a little boost across the country.
I think the Canadian-American rivalry has been not spicy for a long time, especially 10 years no international hockey best on best. But I think this actually, with the anthems and with everything going on, what did you think about Chantal Kreviazuk changing the lyrics?
You know what? I thought it was cheeky in a fun way. Like, it's not a major change. It's just a subtle little change of a few words. And you're just like, okay, all right. Now, I didn't catch it right away. I had to listen to it again, I'll be honest. Right? Because I was like, did she just forget? At first, I was like, did she forget the words? And then, you know what? I hit pause. I'm like, no, she actually changed the words. So interesting. So, I liked it. For anybody who didn't know it, it was in all of us command is the normal term that only us command. So it's not a huge deal.
Well, still for Chantal Kreviazuk, pardon me, that was thought out. That wasn't by accident.
Yeah. No. Oh yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. I butchered it. That was well thought out. And it's a very subtle little way to say, hey, we're aware of it and we're not standing for it, which is awesome. Were you excited for the tournament before it began?
No, not until I saw how excited Connor was. I'll be honest. Like, it was, I'm thrilled they're restarting this every 2 years, best on best international hockey. I think the fact they haven't done it for so long is awful.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that pumped up for the one and done tournament until I saw how into it the players were. And if they're going to be that into it, just coming off NBA All-Star Weekend, Gregor, and seeing how uninto it those players were, seeing how into it the Four Nations Cup players were, really turned me around on it.
Yeah. I quite liked it. It was great.
Were you into it beforehand though, or did it change your mind?
No, I was like, we had people tell me, "Oh, Gregor, they're going to be going out of like the All-Star game." I'm like, "Pardon?" Well, I was flabbergasted that people actually believed that these guys wouldn't be going balls to the wall. You're representing your country. This is like, I still am flabbergasted by some people who, they're replacing the All-Star. It's at the time of the All-Star game. It's not replacing the All-Star game in any form or fashion, right? So does the Olympics replace the All-Star game? Of course not. Like, it's not even a comparison. I don't even know why anybody ever brought it up, other than the fact that normally you have an All-Star break. Well, guess what? We've had Olympic breaks before. Like, this wasn't hard to figure out, but somehow it got to people. And then it's hilarious. Some down the state, Canada won the All-Star game. Like, that's what some of the losers, like, losers know how to lose because they'll come up with excuses the tournament wasn't that important because, you know what, this is the All-Star game. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the All-Star game. It was Four Nations, and this was what the Canada Cup has been, the World Cup has been before. It was a different format, but those ones have been different formats at different times too. So, the next one in 2028 is going to be called the World Cup again because there'll be more than four nations. Right, they couldn't call it the World Cup in theory because it was only four nations. But guess what? I guess when Russia comes back in, like, they'll be one of the top 5 teams. But these same four nations a year from today are going to be the same four nations unless Russia gets in. And I guess things can change between now and then. That I won't be surprised if Sweden, Finland, U.S., and Canada are the 4 teams in the semifinal in the Olympics. And do I think the games leading up to the semifinal will be as intriguing as the games that led up to this final? No, I don't, because they're not all even. Like, Canada plays Latvia. I'm sorry. Like, it might be a low scoring game and it's close and it's great for Latvians, but it doesn't have the skill top to bottom as these games like Canada, Finland, Canada, Sweden, Canada, US. They just won't.
There was a lot of interesting storylines, I thought, throughout the tournament. What did you like what did you enjoy? I really like seeing Connor playing with Crosby. That to me was really cool. What were you enjoying?
Well, they didn't play a ton on the ice, but yeah, I don't know. I could see why, right? That's, it's best on best. To me, I honestly was just more intrigued by the intensity and the pace of the games, right? From the opening game, Canada-Sweden, was a fast-paced game. And, that continued on. Obviously, the Canada-US Saturday night game that had, a start unlike any start I can ever recall, that added the intensity. Like, that whole game, like, I was watching that game and I'll be honest, I had no inkling that there was going to be an off the face-off fight.
Were you pumped?
Are you kidding me? Of course. And then there's the second one and it just builds. How could you not be, as a fan of hockey, as somebody who I love fisticuffs where it's raw motion and it's not two guys who are just fighters and don't play the game. Like, you had Sam Bennett and Brady Tkachuk. They were arguably the best 2 forwards in the game last night, and they had fought on Saturday, right? Like, it wasn't, no offense, fourth line guys who play 4 minutes a night fighting. This was some of your most meaningful, impactful players going at it. That's what made it better.
But I've watched games with you in the past, and you watch them like a pro. You notice way more stuff than us average Joes, and you don't cheer, right? You watch it like a professional.
Yeah, well, that's my job. But Canada's different. And
were you on the
honestly,
couch?
And this one is this was different to me because everything else was going on. But yeah, like it's fun to watch the game. Like my son's 11 now; he gets into it, and like obviously he cheers a little bit more. Like when McDavid scored, he had gone crazy and was running up and down. It was just like for him, like he's a kid, he's a fan. And I really wanted to stay up because I remember the first game still that I got to stay up late and I watched and it wasn't even teams I was cheering for. It was still the 87 Islanders Washington went to 4 overtimes. And I remember my dad, I don't know how old I was. And he was just like, all right. And it might've been a weekend game. Who knows? I don't know if it's a weeknight, even though they started earlier, but he's like, okay, you know what? You're committed. You can stay up to watch this. So it was more so just like, wow, I'm getting to stay up and watch this whole game. And then they won. And, it was just like, wow, like, geez, kind of feel sorry for the team that lost there. But for him, it was the perfect ending. Canada won. And the player from the team that he cheers for scored the winning goal. Like it's perfect. Oiler fans, I don't think could have had, and maybe even Canadians, like there wasn't many Oiler fans who were disappointed when Crosby scored the golden goal, right? Like when your best guy comes through, the whole nation's like, awesome.
I think if you don't have those big hockey moments when you're in that age range, it's harder to cement a kid as a super fan. Like if you aren't seeing championships, if you aren't seeing big goals, if you aren't seeing stuff like that, it's a harder marketing effort to turn a casual fan into a big fan later on. Whereas if you have those moments in your childhood where you love hockey and then something crazy happens, you can remember that for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's how people, there's people there's going to be some fans whose last year Stanley Cup, even though they lost, you're at a certain age, and that's really where your fandom is built. And in some cases, it gets reaffirmed, right? Like 2006 had a whole generation of fans who had never experienced Stanley Cup final run. They're like, oh my God, this is great. And there were fans who hadn't experienced it in a long time. Were like, whew, I'm remembering how good this was. And that's what the Cup was again last year for him, because really it's 18 years from 06 to 2024. And that's why I always try to, like my son afterwards, well, they'll just go to the Cup next year. And I'm like, I hope for your sake, son, but it ain't that easy, right? Like I know Florida just did it. Tampa did it. So you can do it. Yes, there's no doubt you can do it, but it's never guaranteed. And it's never that easy.
Do you think that this sets up, like expectations are going to be a lot higher now in 2 years, right? I feel like hockey fans went into the Four Nations Cup. No, expectations weren't that high. But now having seen how into it the players were in the drama, I think expectations are going to be sky high. The World Cup is the next one in 2 years?
Olympics next year. And then the World Cup in 28.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Oh, buddy.
Connor will be the captain of Team Canada?
Not next year. If Crosby's on the team, McDavid doesn't need the C. I don't think he wants the C. Now, but a year, like a lot can change in a year. Like now I know Crosby's banged up and he had some really good stretches, but then there's other stretches where I didn't really notice him, right? Because the game's quick now and he's still older. So, we'll see where he's at. But like I look at a guy like Brad Marchand, he had some stretches where, oh yeah, great. But then, his speed in the open ice, you notice it in this tournament more. Mark Stone. There's a few others that were in this tournament that even a year later probably won't.
Connor's overtime winner, though, was just such a textbook. Like, granted, he was left alone in the slot, but still, like
set play, and they clearly had a shooting strategy to go up high on Hellebuck. Like 2 of their 3 goals were up high, and how many shots did they either miss the net or he has to make a high blocker save? Like clearly that was one of their scouting reports on Hellebuck, and it worked. So good for them. And it is something. It's always a reminder that. And Kevin Woodley's talked about this. When you get to playoffs, that's why it's so different. Now, Canada and U.S., they played twice in the span of 5 days, but you just have more data to look at when you're really focusing on one team. And when we get into the playoffs, that's what happens. That's how Colorado is able to really expose the best goalie in the world right now. And not just expose him a little bit. They scored 24 goals on him in 5 games, which is mind-blowing to me. And, some of those games got pulled. His goals against was actually over 5, which is crazy. In a playoffs for a guy like that. Because if you look at the 64 games in the regular season last year and the games he's played, like you're just like, what? 43 this year? It's kind of like, how do you have 5 games where he just gets obliterated and the other ones, no one can score on him consistently? But it's one team and they're looking at tape over and over. And then the players get confident and now they're comfortable. Okay, this is where I'm shooting on this guy. This is what we're doing. And that's why the matchups do matter a lot. And so, you know what? I can understand why Oiler fans at times get a little nervous because, you know, Stuart Skinner, not every game is a Vezina Trophy winning game for him, right? But what you need is, even like Binnington. Look at Binnington in the tournament. It wasn't great every game, far from it. Last night was his best game. And in overtime, he was unconscious. He was unreal. Like, he made 3 huge saves that allowed them to win the game.
Did you see the Oilers social media of the players coming off the practice ice? And they asked them what they did during the break. And everyone's like, I went to Cabo. I went to Mexico, living it up in the sun. They went to Stuart Skinner. He's like, I have a toddler and a 2-year-old or whatever the ages are. And just the look at his eye.
Well,
like,
he was so excited. No, he talked about it. He goes, man, it was the best. I got to be in dad mode. And we have 2 young kids. Like, my wife got me, just don't think about hockey. And he said for him, it was a great reset. And his oldest boy, he laughs at it quite. He's big into playing goal. So, he's like, he's playing goal all the time with his little guy. So he quite likes it.
I just saw the man who had very little sleep was the look I got when he came off the ice. Like, I can feel that look in his eye. That's not Cabo.
No, yeah, no, I love it. Hey, you know what? Parenthood is, well, you have a young son. It's, it can be challenging, but it's also one of the best rewarding things ever.
Oh, it's the best thing of all time.
Yeah. So it's great. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I got to watch the game with my daughter. It was a moment neither of us will forget. I remember thinking back in 2010, and now to get to create those moments with my kid, it was awesome. I watched it with my dad, who's since passed from Red. Well, exactly. You know what? It's true. I think moments like that can bond you in a way as parents or friends or siblings. And it just, you remember how it was, and you just see that real kind of raw excitement and, the roller coaster of emotion. Like, my son gets fired up, and obviously Canada scores early, so he's great. And then the U.S. scores, and the first one, and then they scored the second one. Oh, now that's like life's over. So that part I find is quite. But I did notice, like, when the game's a little intense, he pulls out his mini stick net and he's watching the game, but he's shooting with his mini stick. That's like his way to maybe lessen the stress. I'm like, are you watching to distract yourself? No, I just like doing it. Oh, okay.
When you talk to fans, whether it's the Oilers or it's a fan of any team who are super fans, very, very rarely did they do that on their own. If you talk to somebody and they're like, oh, I love the Oilers so much, and you get into it with them, it's like, oh, I used to watch the games with my dad. I used to watch the games with my grandpa.
Oh, yeah.
Something to that effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those moments of bonding like last night, I think it locks fans in for their lives.
Oh, 100%. And so last night's one of those other games, man. There are certain games that mean more to people to watch. It's just true. They do. So we'll see. 322 Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. When we return, Alan May will join us. The chase by the Grade 8 continues. Man, always been on fire. The Oilers are going to take on the Capitals. Now, the Capitals are just like the Oilers. They're both playing back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. So, the rest between all those teams won't be any different other than McDavid. Really, that's the only difference. Quick break. We'll return to the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Is it Riverside Motorsports?
No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Okay, how about you give us your star winger for a bag of pucks? What if I throw in some Will Hawk beef jerky?
Get yourself a trade. With Will Hawk beef jerky on their side, the Alberta teams definitely have an unfair advantage this trade deadline. Pick up some today and use it for trade leverage in your fantasy league.
No way, man. It's way too good.
Will Hawk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win trades with salad.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participating McDonald's in Canada.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
At Papa John's, we're not just in the business of making better pizza. We're in the business of making everything better. Ambitious? Perhaps. Delicious? You better believe it. Monday? Make it a pizza party. Sick of parenting? Get Papa John's on dinner duty. Date night? We've got the recipe for romance. With our never frozen dough and always fresh toppings, Papa John's is committed to making it all better. Get better today at papajohns.ca or visit any of our 50-plus locations across Alberta. Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa. And you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. It's mere seconds east of the Anthony Henday.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers presents a massive 3-day unreserved heavy equipment auction at their Nisku site, February 26th to 28th, 8 a.m. Live on site and online. On offer, core construction heavy equipment, trucks, trailers, nearly every industry covered. Register to bid online. It's free. Priority bids and on-site viewings start February 21st. Timed auction starts February 23rd. Demand for equipment is strong. Contact your local territory manager to consign. More at rbauction.com.
First, this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Little extra brass bonanza for you on a lovely positive Friday. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Welcome back to the Gregor Show, as always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you probably get back in the games. Oilers a double dose in Philadelphia tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Capitals, who the Oilers face on Sunday, the Capitals will be facing off one of their big rivals. I don't know if it's as spirit as it used to be. The Pittsburgh Penguins will go into play Washington tomorrow, both teams. And then the Oilers and the Capitals will meet up for the first time this season on Sunday. And the Great Eights chase to catch Wayne Gretzky will continue, as Ovechkin's just been on an absolute heater in the games that he plays. It's ridiculous at his age. It's great. Let's get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars. Edmonton, oh man, the weather is broke and now it's nice. You want to get outside to test drive some vehicles. Stop at Volvo Car Edmonton this weekend. You can get a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid, 1.49% financing, and you can save an extra $4,500 in cash right now at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. As we welcome in longtime NHLer, longtime broadcaster for the Washington Capitals, Alan May joins us. Alan, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Good to be with you.
Hey, quickly, give me your thoughts. What did you think of the Four Nations?
Well, I was expecting very little, and I was pleasantly surprised, I think, as with everyone, that every NHL player that played in that tournament played his heart out, and they provided us with a lot of great entertainment. I just thought it was spectacular for something that a lot of people viewed as a cash grab, and it didn't make sense not to have Leon Draisaitl and other great players from other different nations playing. But I thought the coaching staffs, the players that were able to participate and play in the games, put it all on the line, and they made for, they built hockey. They helped create a lot of interest in hockey from people that are outside of the game. And I think everyone was glued, and the numbers show that it was one of the best things that's happened to the NHL in a long time.
Yeah, it was fantastic. High intensity. You saw the numbers in the United States, most watched game ever. So, you know what? I keep hearing people talk, the NHL's got to grow the game in other places. And I'm like, they got to grow the game in the United States first and foremost. That's where you want to grow the game. And, this tournament might be one of the best things to happen to USA Hockey.
Well, it certainly is. And, I remember living in Dallas, and after they won the Stanley Cup, and the arena that I was coaching my son in, when hockey signups, there were people wrapped around the building in June to get their kids signed up. And I know that other places this happened, Tampa, all these other American locations, Washington, we had a huge boom here in signups for kids doing the NHL Learn to Play program, where you get in relatively cheap, and all of a sudden arenas were full all the time, and 80 kids on the ice in these learn to plays that are managed very well. And that's how you grow the game. And, winning helps, but having all eyes on it and crushing the NBA last weekend, no football to go up against, and really nothing in the way of people viewing what I feel is the greatest team game on earth in hockey. And it was just spectacular, regardless of who won last night. I think the big win, no matter what, was that it was overtime, that it was a close game. It wasn't a blowout like this last Super Bowl was very pathetic. And it would have people, everyone, no one left. The bars, as I went over to watch the game last night, I had to do a little TV work at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. As I drove to the house of my buddy's house, every single restaurant and bar that I went by that I could see in was absolutely jam-packed. Not normal, because it's cold down here, USA cold, or, this part of the North America cold, and people don't venture out, and it was jam-packed everywhere. And my buddies were, sending me videos of the bars and restaurants they were watching the games, and they were jam-packed, and people were, they were united in national pride and, all of the things that go with all of that. But I just thought it was great that so many people that don't normally watch the game were watching the game.
The Washington Capitals, one of only two teams in the league who didn't have a player in the tournament. And now, for a variety of reasons, some would argue that Thompson easily should have been there. There was many people saying, hey, Wilson could have been there for Canada as well. Obviously, Ovechkin, if Rush is in it, he's in that tournament. But the Caps come in, they've been fantastic. I got the second most points in the National Hockey League. They actually have the best points percentage in the NHL. They're well rested. Al, this is not being just a 1 month heater. They have been consistent start to finish this season. And, it's really been a complete team effort. They get great goaltending when they need it. Then they get some balanced scoring when they need it. If you look at this team, is there any area that you think they need to try to look to improve on before the deadline?
I would think that the number one area would be the third line, which has kind of had players in and out of it all season long. Okay. And they're not creating offense at the pace that you want. So I think in addition there, whether it's center or left wing, and we've got Ryan Leonard that'll come out of Boston College, but I don't know if he's, ready to be a primetime performer in an NHL playoff game yet. But I think just fortifying the third line here would be something. And whether you move Lars Eller to left wing or however it works, but I would think something has to happen on that line. This team has been exceptional all season long. They had a great game plan for their rebuild, and they slotted players. They didn't go after the fanciest names. They knew what they were looking for in the trade market, how they wanted to assemble. And I thought the reassemble of the roster was fantastic. And every single player that they signed or traded for has been a primetime player for the team this season.
What's your expectations for a guy like Ryan Leonard? Too hard to tell. Like, you know, hey, college to the NHL is a massive, massive jump, right? But like, I would think that maybe they say, hey, it doesn't hurt us to give him a look. Obviously, he might not come in until mid-March or later, depending on how deep they go.
Well, his team will go deep, and you know, he'll come here at probably the last week or two of the season, depending on how BC and BU go in their matchups as the time goes on with the NCAA. But the biggest thing is, you know, he's getting away with things that you can't do in the NHL right now. When I watch the BC games, I love the player. I think the skating's great, the shot. And even at the World Juniors, there were things that I thought were suspect in his game that'll get eaten alive in an NHL playoff game, especially, you know, with the intensity ramped up. And will he be overwhelmed? How much do you overthink? And I go back to even last night, I was thinking, why does Canada have the edge, and why are the best players in the world from Canada right now? And I think it's because they're playing 100 games a year in junior hockey. When you look at the guys that you have, Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, they had all these games under their belt, the star players. And the U.S. players, they don't have the hockey sense, in my opinion, because they don't play as many hockey games. And whether it's in, a lot of places of high school hockey, you have collegiate hockey, or 30, 40 games a year. I think these kids have been playing 80 to 120 games a season, have an advantage when it comes to hockey sense. And I think that'll be with Ryan. There's going to be a lot of learning. There's going to be a learning curve with him, and he's not going to be able to come in and dominate. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think from what I've seen over the course of time, it's hard for a collegiate player to come in and knock it out of the park every single night. It's different if you're in the top six, but he won't be in the top six if the team's healthy, and he'll be finding his way on the third or fourth line. I think the fourth line would be a huge mistake, but somewhere in the third line getting more important minutes with some more talented players might really help him out along the way.
How's Jacob Chychrun fit in?
It's been perfection. He is, they played he and Karlsson together at the start of the year, and they were crushing teams, and then they broke them up, and they're trying to make, a true six-man unit. And I think everything's worked out for this team, but he's at 14 goals right now. His shot is far better than I expected. And, with the injury to Ovechkin, and that really opened up a lot more ice time for Jacob. And all of a sudden he's on that main unit power play. Karlsson's still out there. They bumped some other players around, but he's really added to the power play. He's an absolute physical specimen. No one talks about that. They just talk about the goal scoring from the dots down inside the defensive zone, on the post in front of the net, below the goal line. He just crushes guys, and he doesn't get credit for the defense that he plays, but he's a very good hockey player. It'll just be a matter of time until they announce a big long-term contract for him.
Now, Rasmus Sandin, how they use him, any concerns if he's in your big minutes come playoff time, or do you think he's more than capable of handling it?
Well, I would say last year, yes, but now with the way the roster's been constructed, he's getting the appropriate amount of ice time. They're not forcing him into situations he shouldn't be in. And he's kind of been one of the unheralded players of this team. We're talking about, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Ovechkin, Strome, Wilson all the time. And, in defense, you're talking about Karlsson and Jacob Chychrun, but nothing about Rasmus. But, every guy will come in that I talk to pro scouts when we're watching the game or after the game, they go, wow, Sandin really turned into a player here. He got away from the noise of being in Toronto. He's able to walk down the streets here, and I've mentioned this on your show before, walk down the streets in BC and Arlington, and no one knows who he is, can live his life and just go play hockey when he's at practice and at the games. And I think it's a lot easier to play the game and approach it that way when you're not getting beat up from the outside at all times.
Who's he best paired with?
He's been excellent with every single guy. All three lefties have played with all three righties, and every unit's worked so far. But he's been really good with John Karlsson. In the past, not so, because I think he was trying too hard to be an offensive player. Now he's just playing the game. And he reminds me, we had a player here for a long time, Calle Johansson,
right,
that played forever. He outlasted all the superstar offensive guys, and he's kind of gone into that mode of just playing great shadowy defense where, he can still use his side to do the hits, but his skating is exceptional. He's been playing the puck properly in his one-on-one situations. He grinds away in front of the net. So I just think right now it really doesn't matter. When everyone's playing with confidence and the coaches are showing the confidence that they have, it just adds to what the player can do.
Alan May joins us, analyst for the Washington Capitals. I'm guessing Thompson's going to play tomorrow, which means it'll be lingering against the Oilers. Is that right?
You know what? I did not see today what they decided to go with yet, but it's been interesting how they've handled all of this all season long, and the two goalies appear to be best of friends, and they both come in and give you an exceptional game every night. And I'm not sure what they're going to go with. And, I can't remember back, even though it was January 21st, we were in Edmonton, I think it was Logan played that game and kind of stole it.
Yes, he stole the game.
But both of these guys, they're not trying to hide them or project or plan who they play against. They're just lining them up. And I think the only thing that we did see, they did a little bit of a schedule change so Logan Thompson could play at home in Calgary the day after his contract was announced.
Okay. Well, which makes sense. Hey, as a smart coach, little things like that, players notice, and it goes a long, long way. I want to get your thoughts when you look at the Eastern Conference. Washington, Carolina, the Devils, Tampa, Florida, Toronto. Those 6 teams seem to be locked. It's not a guarantee, but they looked like so far 2/3 of the way through. They've been the better teams. New Jersey, maybe a little bit of a hiccup here or there. But out of Ottawa, Detroit, Columbus, Boston, and the Rangers, which 2 do you like the best to make it?
Well, I don't like the Rangers. I don't think for the style of play for the players they have is incorrect in my opinion. And they've been on every single player there all season long. We saw that here a few years ago. Everyone's career was over. They're talking about trading everyone. But as long as they can keep playing the system they're playing, I think they're going to find holes in that team. Columbus, they've had some major injuries in the last little while. So I have a feeling they're going to be on the outside looking in. So I look at Ottawa and Detroit. They've been exceptional the last month or so, maybe 6 weeks, whatever it is. I guess Detroit since they hired the new coach. But I would say that those 2 teams look like they're primed and ready as if they stay healthy, they're going to be in the playoffs.
Al, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. Should be a fun weekend. Hockey comes right back with a boatload of games this weekend. We love it. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, take care. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Alan May, longtime analyst for the Washington Capitals, who are good, real good. And then oddly enough, in first place, but did not have one player at the Four Nations. Now, you can argue Thompson and Wilson definitely could have been there. John Carlson was in the mix, but ultimately didn't get the call on the back end for them. They're probably a little bit happy about it, but man, Chychrun's been excellent for them. Matt Roy's come over in that free agent signing. He has panned out. Dylan Strome is playing excellent for them. They got a real deep team, except their third line. So you look at the Capitals and, 1, possibly 2 additions for them between now and the trade deadline. And by the way, 2 weeks, actually officially less than 2 weeks, because it would be 13 days and just over 21 hours for the trade deadline, which will be on Friday, March 7th. So that should be fantastic. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you. We'll get back. We got more from Wanye. We'll get to Cam Tate and more on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
It may sound cliche, but it's true. Building something new starts
as the television camera zoomed in on the dark-haired boy with his head against the glass.
With deep utility
Minutes
services and infrastructure that
scored the overtime winner last.
Begins with skilled people.
The champion
building communities from the ground up. GS Construction is hiring. So if you're a foreman or a pipeline that's looking to put your skills to work for Edmonton and area,
perhaps a few words.
We'd love to hear from you. Visit gsconstruction.ca and join a team that digs deep and builds stronger.
We'll get to that in 100 words or so.
You're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams.
I wasn't.
The outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49%
playoffs.
$4,600, or finance a
Now,
2025
not the caliber of, well, faster than fast, thunderous hits. Hockey like we've never seen before. A brilliant mark.
1205 101 Street Southwest.
Mr. Ruther travels the world.
Buongiorno, Italy. Nothing beats immersing oneself
A
in
way
another
to go
culture.
out.
Ooh,
The popularity
look at
of the
that.
February.
What an intricate design. Huh. Wow. What a weird way to turn on the shower. OMG, a dedicated porcelain bidet.
Or the Toronto
Can I
Maple
try it?
Leafs.
Well,
Or the
when
Pittsburgh
in Rome.
Penguins.
Oh,
Stanley
my.
Cup.
This beats that robot toilet in Japan.
All plumbing roads lead to Mr. Ruther.
I'm Colin Livingston, president.
2-minute
of
warning with
Since
me, the
2016,
Camera.
We've been at the forefront.
Gregor
of hydraulic
Show.
torque wrenches in Canada.
Monday,
I'm delighted
Friday.
to share our latest venture,
Sports
in-house
1440.
production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantorque.com.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goal. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Fourth annual Blades of Steel 3-on-3 pond hockey tournament hits the ice Saturday, March 1st at Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club. Men's and ladies divisions, teams of up to 8 players, and cash prizes. $2,000 for first place. Entry just $600 per team, including jerseys, hot lunch, and a drink. Register now at cattailcrossing.ca. Don't miss out. Hockey, prizes, and community fun await you. The Blades of Steel 3-on-3 pond hockey tournament. Information and registration at cattailcrossing.ca.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Don't settle for being on the rate of last resort if you don't have to be. Check your most recent electricity bill. If it says the words rate of last resort on it, then there are likely better options available for you. In fact, you could save hundreds of dollars per year by switching plans. Check your bill, then go to ucahelps.ca to explore your options. You will likely find a better rate and could have hundreds more in your pocket by the end of the year. A message from the Government of Alberta.
When was the last time your electricity and natural gas provider made you feel like this? Low rates, no strings attached, year-round perks, and local energy experts who always have your back with Encore by Epcor. Find that carefree energy feeling at encore.epcor.com/carefree.
Customers are free to purchase natural gas or electricity services from a retailer of their choice. For a list of retailers, visit ucahelps.alberta.ca or call 310-4822 toll-free.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Feeding a crowd, get the triple plate. 3 large specialty or 5 topping pizzas for only $54 when you use promo code 3play at papajohns.ca.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Seven, welcome back, Gregor. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you. Sports 1440. Thanks for making us part of your afternoon. If you make your way home, you're still in the office. Maybe you're still just out for a walk. It's beautiful outside. After hibernating for what seems like a month, many people getting outdoors. My dog, it was like she was a puppy today. It was just pumped. Hadn't been on the path in like a month, I don't think. Well, at least for like, I try to take her for walks. Literally, it'd be like she'd be out there for a minute, and then she would just stop and look at me. I'm like, yeah, okay. She goes, "What are you, idiot? Get me home." So away we went. But now she's back out there and enjoying it. We got a lot of texts flying in. 833-401-1440. Hey, fellas, my daughter was born during the 2010 Olympics. Brought back so many memories last night. Golden goal, 3-2 overtime game, a new baby, and there I was last night. Golden goal, 3-2 game. My daughter planning her birthday party. Just the best. From Mike. Oh yeah, I could see that. Pretty big moment. You have your newborn daughter. Your team wins the gold, and make no mistake, the Olympics on home soil It's against the United States. It's in overtime. There was definitely a lot of angst in the country at that point. And last night, for different reasons, there was some angst about that game, of course, and Canada especially because I don't remember the U.S. having as many good chances as they had in overtime last night. I don't remember that in 2010. And, man, Binnington came up huge at the most important time of the tournament for him and for his team. And, Canadian players, you see them, they're celebrating. I don't know if they're going to celebrate like Sid and everybody did at the Olympics. The Olympics is just a little bit different and not necessarily better, but it is considered a bigger stage for sure. I don't think the quality of play top to bottom will be better, but it's a bigger stage. You want to win it. I understand it. The whole world's watching. I totally get it, right? Like you're there. There's lots of other athletes kind of get caught up in the whole pride factor. So it's great. We only have to wait a year to see it all again, which makes it exciting. So could you imagine? There's a chance McDavid could go 4 Nations gold, Stanley Cup, Olympics, all in a span of 12 months, right? Like it could happen. Like the Oilers are a good team, but there's a few other guys. Like there's lots of Canadians who won that on teams. People will say, well, hey, Toronto could do it with Mitch Marner. In theory, yes. Florida, yes. Vegas had a few guys for sure. Colorado obviously had 3 guys, so they definitely could be one of them. So there's a few teams. Like there's some guys on teams. Philly obviously isn't going anywhere. Dallas, if they don't get Heiskanen back, I don't think they can win without Miro Heiskanen. The Jets definitely with Morrissey have a chance. Trying to think, Carolina. Maybe. What about the rumblings though? Like, what if they don't sign Rantanen before the trade deadline? God, could you imagine flipping him? All right. Like it seemed crazy. Absolutely crazy. But do you want to trade for him and then not re-sign him and lose guys? Like it's a big one. I'm very curious to watch what the Carolina Hurricanes do here in the next few weeks. I think they're going to try to get a contract done to ensure to see what happens, but that's a fascinating storyline.
Just finishing off the thoughts of the 4 Nation Cup, not looking for any wrinkles in the bed sheets here at this point, but Binnington is the player of the game. I thought you could make a case that he was the player of the game, not to take away from Captain Connor, of course.
Well, I could argue Sam Bennett was a player of the game, right? I thought he played great. And, like when McKinnon won it, there was a lot of Oilers fans against Finland say, I thought McDavid was better. Fair. Trust me, these guys, they don't really care. Like they don't care about that. McKinnon wins the tournament MVP. Everyone's like, awesome. They're not going to worry about it. Like, I don't know who was the MVP of the 1987 Canada Cup, but I remember the games. I remember the score of the games. I have no idea who the MVP was.
There was a couple saves in overtime. You have to give Binnington hats off to him. Like that one glove save. Big league game. Big league player.
Oh, the blocker save on Matthews too was massive. So, you know what? You need guys to step up at key times, and Binnington did his job. Sam Bennett, of course, played. Mitch Marner had his best game of the tournament by far. I know he scored 3-on-3, just basically on one play, skate up the middle of the ice, across the blue line and shot. Other than that, he hadn't done anything until yesterday. And so that's huge for him. And Maple Leaf fans will be excited. Matthews had 2 points in the loss. I know a lot of people talk about, it was a terrible defensive decision by Matthews. Like, I think people have to, we're talking bang, bang plays. And, no one was covering Marner. So, and all that happens is if you get out of position by 6 inches, that can be the difference. And in a quick bang, bang play, it happens. So I don't, I don't think Matthews had a bad game by any stretch of imagination. I don't think it was a grossly egregious play. Like I see people break it down and they do it in slow, and they always show it in slow motion. I'm like, why show it in slow motion? Because it looks, oh my God, I can't believe he reacted that way. Well, now speed it up a little bit in real time. And even on TV, even in real time, is slower than what you're seeing reacting on the ice. It is. And, we've talked to Rich Winter about it. If you looked at one thing hockey could do to blow the minds of people even more, would be to get camera angles so they're closer to the ice and they can show the speed of the game even more. That would be the best thing for hockey. Best thing for hockey.
Having cameras in helmets, do you think that's something that the NHL could ever look into doing?
I've seen the ref cam helmet. Like, it's cool in certain positions, but you can't have the whole game from there. You might be able to take a replay of a certain play. Hey, this is kind of from that vantage point and see it, but you wouldn't want to show the whole game. Like sometimes they take that camera angle. They did it last night where they zoom in and it's down low and it is on the ice. I don't like that angle at all. So you just have to, and with the technology nowadays, look what the NFL cons did by bringing in the wire across the field, right? Like that made a big difference. So could the NHL do something like that? I don't see why not, right? Like I've seen a lot of people say, put a track over top of the glass. Now, Is it going to get hit? Maybe. There's some things to look at, but there's ways to do it, man. With technology nowadays and the billions of dollars the league's making, I'm pretty sure you can invest something in it. Like, let's call a spade here.
People make fun of the old glowing puck from the All-Star game that Fox put out that one year, but I've known several people who are casual hockey fans who said they didn't watch it live, but we showed them footage. And it's much easier to follow the puck like that.
I don't know, man. I couldn't do it.
On replays and stuff like that?
They're the odd replay, but on replays, they slow it down, so then you can see it.
But just because you have a helmet in everyone's camera, just because you have a chip in the puck, doesn't mean you constantly need to go to it.
No, you don't have
just
to go to
once
it.
a game.
Well, yeah, okay, but when the Fox one, it was the puck would light up on the screen at a certain velocity, right? That's what it was.
Passing it was one color, wasn't then shooting
there
it
was
changed
blue
colors?
and red. It was just, it was more so based on this. So if you had a rocket pass, then all of a sudden it would go to the red, and then it was super fast or whatever it was blue and red. And one was a certain speed and the next one was a higher speed. So you're going to have almost every shot had it. And that becomes a little bit too much.
I've watched lots of hockey with non-hockey fans. It's their first game ever something. And don't underestimate how difficult it is to follow the puck for a non-hockey fan.
Yeah, but do you see the baseball, watching baseball? No, but do you? No. It's and every play in baseball starts with the ball in the pitcher's mouth, right? He gets up there, everyone. How many guys are watching it at 90? Because pitchers are now throwing 100 miles an hour on a much more frequent basis than you ever get a 100-mile-an-hour shot.
I'm not trying to grow the baseball game. I'm trying to make everybody love hockey, Gregor.
Yeah, I don't know. I know maybe as a traditionalist, I wasn't a big fan, but hey, anybody out there who's a new fan, what do you think? 833-401-1440. Let's get to the 2-minute warning brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. If all of a sudden furnace conks out tonight on the weekend, call Legacy. They'll come fix it. No OT charges. I tell you, Bill Legacy at LegacyHeating.ca. Cam Tate, longtime journalist in town. Cam, of course, born with cerebral palsy. Cam's in a wheelchair. And due to his disability, he was never able to be live on radio until the wonders of technology. Cam's words come to life in the 2-minute warning.
As the television camera zoomed in on the dark-haired boy with his head against the glass, minutes after, Connor McDavid, who else, scored the overtime winner last night to crown Canada. The champions of the Four Nations face-off, I couldn't help to think of that young boy playing hockey on a driveway, tennis ball, maybe wooden hockey sticks, maybe not. And as the young boy stick-handled on the cement, running toward the goal, giving himself a play-by-play of the action. His action. Perhaps a few words. Important words. Christopher and Matthew would be different. Different from the decades of driveway hockey. In overtime, of course. We will get to that in 100 words or so. I have to be honest with you, my friend. I wasn't doing cartwheels going into the Four Nations Cup. Thought it might be like the National Hockey League preseason. A time for the best players on the planet to practice their skills for the grind of the National Hockey League playoffs. Now, only 2 months away. Not. The caliber of play? Well, didn't get any better. Faster than fast, thunderous hits. Hockey like we've never seen before. A brilliant marketing move by the NHL to grow the game, especially in the United States, which poses an interesting side question. Was the Four Nations face-off a swan song for NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman? If so, what a hell of a way to go out. The popularity of the February frenzy of hockey will surely motivate young boys and girls to play the game now. And now we get back to our driveway. Bonanza extravaganza. It has always been those self-play-by-plays about winning in overtime for the Edmonton Oilers, or the Florida Panthers, or the Toronto Maple Leafs, or the Pittsburgh Penguins. Stanley Cup, right? But maybe that narrative will change, replacing the words Stanley Cup to Four Nations face-off, and an NHL team with the name of their country. Now here comes the hammer from the cammer. A wonderful lesson to our youth about being patriotic, which cannot be written in any of the best learned school textbook. 2-minute warning with me, the Cammer. Gregor Show, Monday, Friday, Sports 1440.
When you, driveway, not bad, Tater. I'm not sure I can call you Cammer yet, but we'll see. Tater for sure. Cammer. We have a rule on the show. Are you allowed a self-imposed nickname? We'll let the listeners vote on it. Is Cammer acceptable? Do you think we should now, from today forth, call him Cammer? 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey, Wanye, the glow puck was helpful back in standard definition. Go back and watch old hockey. It was like watching in a snowstorm. Now with HD, it's very obvious where the puck is. That one comes from Lance.
That's very fair, Lance. Those old tube TVs were a little bit more difficult to watch.
Yeah, and I see sometimes people see highlights on YouTube of certain games and stuff like, and I'm like, well, yeah, because everything's not uber duper crystal clear, man. Like you guys have it so like it's hilarious sometimes to know the difference and just in technology. Never mind going to the games and what have you, but just being able how the games are presented now make it infinitely more enjoyable than it used to be. Like, and it was never bad because that's all you knew. But man, when you look at this, the difference from even like now you have even the 4K, like there just used to be high def. Now it's like 4K high def, right? Like I'm assuming at some point they're going to come up to 5 and 6 and it's just going to find a way to like eventually it'll be like you're watching 3D. You can watch with these glasses and the guy will get hit and it'll be like it comes through your screen. So I could easily see something like that down the road. It'd be nuts.
Sometimes you'll see footage on YouTube or on highlights of Rexall plays. And I don't remember game footage being that hard to watch. I wonder if it's because we're trying to watch it on new TVs. But man, some of the footage from Rexall Place looks like it was shot on a toaster oven.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I got this one this is a tough text. Hey guys, talk about angst. I had to watch the game on PBR last night. It only recorded the basic 3-hour schedule. Taping ended 2 minutes after the third period ended. Missed the whole overtime from Bob. Hey, Bob, you know what? I had the exact same thing happen to me for one of the earlier games. And I was irked beyond belief. I'm like, because if you record a NHL game, it automatically goes past the timeline. But it wouldn't for this. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. But God, that was infuriating. So, but I made sure, even though I was watching the game, but I still like to record it. So I actually recorded the moments, the next one afterwards, just because I'm like, if it goes to overtime, even though I'm watching it, I don't want to forget in the moment to do it. So fool me once. My fault. Fool me twice. But I get it, Bob, because normally you don't have to worry about that on a regular Oilers game. If you just hit the record button, it records the whole game regardless of how long it goes. So I could see how that would be a tough one. Tough one. Hey, guys, do you think the dark horse in making Team Canada might be Dylan Guenther? Think he could take enough steps in the conversation for a year from now? HVAC Nick. Ooh, that would be a big jump, man. Like, he's had a good year in Utah. Like, you think about Hyman, Wilson, Scheifele weren't on this team. So not only do you have to take 3 guys off, then you add those 3 for argument's sake. Then he's got to come in. And then, like, what about Bedard, right? What about Celebrini? Like, there might be some other guys who open eyes early in the season for sure. So, yeah, well, Dylan Guenther is going to need to continue how he's playing and probably even augment it a little bit in the first half of next season, I think, to get himself in the mix, because it's a hard team to make, man. It is a really hard team to make. There's no doubt about it.
You know, the team's stacked when they don't put Hyman on it. He catches fire and they still win anyways. Like,
yeah. Oh no, it's a good team. No question about it. And like, there's some guys on that team who didn't play poorly, but I'm not sure they're going to, like, I could see 3 or 4 forwards from that group not being there at the Olympics for sure. And probably a few defense. Now, they did end up using, think about how many defensemen they used. Well, they used Pietrangelo didn't come, and they still had 8 defensemen. So there's 9 right there if you're only going to pick 7 at the Olympics. Now, I think the roster is bigger for the Olympics, if my memory is correct. So I think you have 23 skates. So yeah, there'll be more guys named, but they don't necessarily always play. And that's a tough part, man. Like, you ask guys to give up the time. Yes, but it's the Olympics, so they'll go and, you go there. But hey, they're competitors, man. And as great as it would be to be part of it, you still want to play at least one game to get in. So we'll see. Gregor, you're bang on. Speed of the gang and bang plays were amazing both ways. Especially glad McDavid was our guy. That one comes from the Thai guy. And yeah, like, sometimes I know everybody wants to break down and it was an awful. I just think is a little strange. Is it a bad read in a split second? Yes, sure. But nobody was on Marner. And so Matthews at the time is closer. So, and all he did was, he took what did he skate? A striding a bit. Like, it's so, once you make that decision, you can't even recover because the game happened so fast. And, like Marner, that was a set play. If you go back and watch it, the minute the puck came in and McDavid missed the net and the puck went around, Marner went directly to the corner. So that's a set play for the team. This is how we want to keep possession going. We're just going to rifle it around and then start from the corner down low again. That was a set play. So smart. It works. And you know what? Hey, when you got the best guys, all you need is one opening and one chance. And that was McDavid's best chance of the game, and he buried it. Quick break. Craig Button, Lowetide and more when we return after Connor Halley, a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Every day in February, they're giving away free smoothies. Well, it's Positive Friday. If your name is Damien or Jing, stop in at Booster Juice today and get your free smoothie. And be sure to check them out on socials on the weekend, and that's where you can find out if your name is next.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Another day without hockey, but the Oilers are back in action tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll have pregame coverage for you. Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson, 10 a.m. right here on Sports 1440. Off the ice, Vancouver Canucks have extended goaltender Kevin Lankin into a 5-year, $22.5 million contract, with Thatcher Demko only playing 17 games this season so far. The 29-year-old Lankin has kept the Canucks in contention with a 19-8-7 record. In the association, the Toronto Raptors hosting the Miami Heat. That gets going at 5:30. Also got the Bucks, Wizards, Cavs, and Knicks. Pistons in San Antonio. Jazz host the Thunder. And the Warriors taking on the Kings. WHL, Oil Kings in action in Medicine Hat taking on the Tigers. That'll start at 7. The two teams will meet Sunday night in Edmonton at 6. In the BCHL, Spruce Grove hosting the Trail Smoke Eaters. You got the Crusaders taking on Coquitlam. Both those games starting at 7. In the AJ, got the Kodiaks hosting GP. Whitecourt and Bonneville. Devon up against Calgary. Olden Canmore and Fort Mac takes on Drayton Valley. Playoffs get going at the collegiate level as well. The Golden Bears hockey program taking on the UFC Dinos. Game 1 tonight. Game 2 tomorrow. And Game 3 on Sunday, if needed. All those games will start at 7. The Griffins in Vancouver taking on UBC. Same schedule. All those games will get going at 8 o'clock. And from the CFL, the Edmonton Elks have signed American offensive lineman Devin Hayes. The 6'6", 325-pounder joins the green and gold after a 5-year college career at Middle Tennessee State, Jackson State, and Florida Atlantic University. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Alan Mitchell from the Lowdown with Lowetide, TSN's Craig Button, and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Hey, it's Andrew Walker, host of the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show, which you can check out before all the games this season. A big thank you to Cross Mitsubishi for their support. We are Sports 1440, Edmonton sports leader.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions, take 1 for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready? I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take 1.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
I couldn't love it more. With no payments and no interest for 1 year.
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
The Edmonton Firefighters Rooftop Campout for Muscular Dystrophy is starting February 24th. Edmonton firefighters are again braving the elements by camping on the roof of Fire Hall number 2. But this year, they've decided to add a little twist and will be starting the rooftop campout with no camping equipment. The more money they raise for muscular dystrophy, the more equipment they'll get to survive an Edmonton winter, with the final goal of getting off the roof and helping this incredible cause. Donations can be made now at any Edmonton Fire Hall or online at edmontonrooftopcampout.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona has special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. Jason Gregor, Wanye Gretz, Connor Halley with you as we make our way through Friday afternoon. A busy weekend, hockey fans. You get right back into the swing of things. 14 NHL games tomorrow, including the Oilers. They are in Philadelphia. Matt Savoy is going to make his Oilers debut. Then they're into Washington on Sunday. Both games will start just after 11 a.m. Edmonton time. We had Brian tell me, suggesting that brunch means you got to give in your man card. I'm like, Brian, I don't know what brunch you've had, dude, but brunch is the ultimate. How much you can eat? Kidding me? It's on Cons, where are you on brunch? Like, to me, one, you get a buffet for brunch. That might be the greatest meal ever.
Yeah, I'm down for a buffet at any time, to be totally honest with you. But brunch, sometimes they have the unlimited mimosas as well. Or is that what they are? Yeah, like I had one of those in Vegas. It was unbelievable. So
yeah,
give me all the bacon and pancakes, French toast. Unbelievable.
I don't know what brunch Brian's had, but he's missing the boat.
If a restaurant offers you unlimited mimosas and you want to take them at their word, brunch can be a rave level of craziness if you want it to be.
It's true. Hey, Greg's, I think there's 8K TVs now. What? Really? On which channel? No.
Where does this end? Everyone's X-rayed during the games.
Yeah.
You can just see right through everybody.
Yeah. Like, it's like, honestly, like, do we need more than 4K? Like, and because lots of like, there's only like Sportsnet has one 4K station. I think it's like channel on mine. It's like 217 or something. And TSN has one, and there's only like limited broadcasts on it. So like, do we need 4K for TV shows? No. Sporting events, it's great because it's moved quick and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably more important things they can invest their money in. Just me. So, hey, let's get to LT as we go in the room. Brought to you by Action Electrical, one of the most diversified contractors in Alberta. Project, service, tag, solar for both commercial and residential, and they can help you save money on both. Go to actionelectrical.net. Alan Mitchell, host of The Lowdown with Lowetide, noon to 2 here on Sports 1440, joins us. LT, I can only imagine the giddiness in the Mitchell household watching that game last night.
Oh, it was so good. You know, there are certain times in a career of, you know, really special players where the moment is there and they take advantage of it. You know, when I was a kid, my dad hated the Montreal Canadiens, but he respected Jean Beliveau for the reasons that we saw last night. It was a big game. The Americans did a great job of suppressing McDavid until the moment where bad coverage, but that's what happens with great players, and he buried it. I mean, that is like destiny for a great player. I loved watching it. I'm so happy that I witnessed it, and it was a fantastic night for Canada.
Did you apologize to Jordan Binnington like 99% of us?
Oh yeah, no, I was like, I said yesterday on the Lowdown, I said if he stops 9 out of 10 shots, it'll be okay. Well, he did better. He did better than that. And in overtime, I mean, he was Dominik Hasek, and that's the highest compliment I can give any goaltender. And so whatever was said about him before last night's game, we have to go back and erase the tapes.
Yeah. No, guess what? And you know what? It's all about showing up at the right time. They didn't necessarily need him in those other games. Ultimately, it didn't matter. They beat Finland. They beat Sweden. That guaranteed them pretty much a chance to get to the final. And then, hey, he out-dueled Hellebuck really at the end of the day. He made more big saves, made more saves overall than Hellebuck, and they got the win. Now, Al, it's a very quick switch, and boom, here we are in 21 hours. Actually, no, 19 hours. The Oilers are playing the Philadelphia Flyers. The Oilers kind of limped into the break. I think it's fair to say that their game had been a little sloppy. What are you expecting coming out of the break?
Well, I think they need, they'll need Leon to be Leon, and then they'll need some saves. But the teams that are playing are in the same boat. I guess Washington did they have anybody there? But I think that everybody's going to be a little bit rusty because this is longer than your average All-Star break. But these Oilers seem to have a little bit more attraction and torque than previous editions of the team. So I would have been, even a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I would have been a little more concerned. But this team seems to have themselves locked and loaded, and they're a more mature group, I think.
I think that's probably fair. What's your expectations for Matt Savoy?
Well, that's a great question, and I've been thinking about when Connor Yamamoto arrived in the NHL, and Savoy's like 25 pounds heavier than Yamamoto was, but he is an undersized player, and almost right away, Yamamoto right at the end of 2019, early 2020 when he came up. He played with Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins, and they were brilliant. It was the hottest line in the NHL. I don't expect that, but my hope is that he gets to play with a really good center. And, I think Henrique is a really good center. And if they're playing softer minutes against softer opposition, I hope he gets a lot of touches, makes some good passes, looks good, and maybe inspires the coach to play him a little more in game 2 or game 3. Coaches are risk averse for good reason because their jobs are on the line if things don't go well. But I hope he plays. I hope he plays 12 minutes tomorrow.
Well, I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play with Draisaitl. They practiced there. I talked to both guys this week, and Draisaitl kind of hinted, like he made it sound like, he was going to play with him. So, and Matt Savoy, obviously he was bouncing off the walls, just being up in the NHL for his hometown team, and he's had a really good season. He's got a boatload of confidence, and I think I won't be surprised at all. Like, let's be honest, Al. Look at all the other wingers that have played there. It's not like and so the bar is actually pretty low as far as production goes. And I don't know if you read my article today. I had Keith Gretzky talking about, and give a real good scouting report on what he's seen from Matt Savoy. And the thing that impressed him the most, because Keith, he's the GM now. He wasn't scouting junior players anymore, right? He's not the amateur scout guy. And he talked about how when you look at Savoy's game, he just felt like he was relentless. He's blocking shots 5-on-5 and on the penalty kill, and he didn't give up. He was really impressed by his doggedness, and he thinks he'll be fine.
Yeah, in the NHL, the games that I saw, and I'm not a scout, but he was around the puck so much. He touched it a lot. He was like it's funny because you look at his size and you're like, okay, but he's not a perimeter player, and he can separate a player who's bigger than he is from the puck and gain possession and walk off the wall with the puck. And it's kind of a freaky thing to see because he's smaller than pretty much any defenseman he'll ever play against. But he's strong. Even at a young age, he's strong, and he's smart as a whip. The thing about Savoy is that you'll notice right away is he makes really great passes and great decisions, but he's often on the right side of the puck, and he doesn't have to chase after his check because he's got that player, whoever it is, he's got him marked. So he's often, when there's a turnover, he's on the right side of the puck and right side of the player.
LT, with trade deadline right around the corner, as our resident guy who knows everything about everything, what do the Oil need to do? How do you assess them as the trade deadline comes ahead?
Well, I think it's moved a little bit, and I think that Savoy is being recalled is an indication that, as Jason said, that they got a lot of veteran right wingers and left wingers who aren't really scoring very much, so they're looking for scoring. Now, they've got 7 games left. If they come out of the break and the veterans start to score again, then maybe it changes. But always acquire a defenseman at the deadline. My own personal feeling is they're fine in goal. Who knows? Fourth line center, always a concern, but maybe a scoring or skill forward that maybe a month ago I didn't think they'd want.
I'm kind of fascinated to see what they do. Like, can 7 games for Matt Savoy automatically answer all the questions they have for wing? Probably not, but it just, maybe gives them more depth, gives them some options. There's always the uncertainty of Evander Kane a little bit. If they think, okay, he's done, and then what if he said, hey, it's April 8th, now I'm ready to go, and you've used his LTIR money? That could be a problem. So there's lots of kind of balls in the air for the GM. And I do think Edmonton, the one thing, like when I watched that tournament game, Al, like, I still think at Edmonton, and I think a little bit more speed on the wing and a little bit more physicality on the wing is what they're going to need come playoff time.
Yeah, it's fair. And I think that Braden Point, he thinks the game so well, and I was so impressed with him. Always liked him, but he arrived on the McDavid line and looked like he'd been there his whole life. And I also liked Stone on that line, but I think, the bigger, rugged forward who can play like in front of the net and bang, that's Kane. And we don't know if he'll get back in time. And there's not a lot of them out there via trade unless you were going to make a big trade. So the Kane's probably that kind of enforcer, policeman, power forward guy that they might be looking for. And who knows whether he's going to be back. But man, I know there's no way they could get Braden Point, but that would be a dream. That guy is good.
Oh, yeah, you think? LT joins us. John Klingberg has had 5 games, and I've seen progress each time. He's got 27 games up. Like, I don't think John Klingberg is going to answer the right shot defenseman question before the deadline, Al, but I think they believe he can answer it by the time they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and he doesn't he could be, he has to be better than Troy Stecher. If we look at it like if they're going to, let's say they pick up a left defenseman who can, and then Kulak could move over. The guy that he needs to beat out for the 7th defenseman job is Stecher. And the thing about Klingberg is he's such a rangy guy, right? There's a lot that as he gets better at being in the NHL, which he hasn't done for a long time. He's only had a few games. I think that natural talent that he has is going to come to the forefront more, and that includes skating, but also passing. And he's got, I'm not saying he's going to defend like Desharnais was like, it took you all day to get past him, even though he wasn't a great skater. But Klingberg's range, his wingspan is intriguing to me. And I think they're going to play him every game they can because he might be part of the solution. That to me, that's a sneaky good move by Bowman, along with the guys that he picked up, Emberson and Podkolzin. I think those are my favorite moves that Bowman's made since he got here. And I include Klingberg in that, not because he's there yet, but because what he brings, he could be there by the time the playoffs hit.
Al, looking at a few other things and some other teams, what do you make? The Vancouver Canucks, Lankinen signs a 5-year extension at $4.5 million, kicks in next year. Demko has 1 year left at $5 million. He's banged up again. Now they could run with both guys next year. $9 million for 2 goaltenders isn't absurd. Some goalies make more than that themselves, so they could definitely do it. But this signing to me suggests maybe that they're concerned a little bit about Demko long term.
Yeah, that could be. And they're also probably, it's a reasonable bet because the prices on goaltenders are going up and there's a big new cap number coming in. So a guy like Demko, even if he's hurt, he's still very famous. His price point might be really large, and they have to decide if he's going to be part of that core group moving forward. I think it's a reasonable bet. You could trade either goaltender if you wanted to. But with Demko, as you say, he's not a sure thing because of injury, not because he's not a great goaltender. He's a fabulous goalie when he's healthy, but he might be a guy they move along instead of sign, and that could happen in the next 12 months, I guess.
LT, have yourself a great weekend. What happens to the Oilers? Are they splitting? Are they sweeping? Are they getting swept? What happens?
I'll call it a split just because I don't have any damned idea at all. But I think that the Oilers they're a better team than they've been even a year ago, I think. And so I know there's going to be rust, but there's rust on the other side too. I think they win tomorrow and maybe lose on Sunday.
Al, have a great one. Enjoy the games. We will chat with you on Monday.
Guys, enjoy this weather. Oh my God. Take the dog for a walk. It is so good out here.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. Yes, the pups are liking it. Everybody's liking it, man. It's just refreshing. You don't come out and you're just like sprinting to your vehicle just to get in and then sit there to freeze for a few minutes. Yes, it's a welcome change. Thanks, man.
Hey, have a great weekend, guys.
There you go. That's Al Mitchell, host of the Lowetide. When we come back, Craig Button will join us on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
They are nice, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road, Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
It's the season for love, and you're about to fall hard for the vehicle of your dreams. Presenting the outstanding 2025 XC90 from Volvo Cars Edmonton. Right now, you can lease your 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $4,600. Or finance a 2025 XC60 from 1.49% and save $1,500. All while being deeply infatuated by the newly upgraded, highly attractive body and wheel design. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Dang, last season you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang, they didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Yes, fittedgolf.ca.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in North America, and by sponsoring the upcoming NAPP pickleball tournaments, you can grow too. Reach a dedicated, expanding audience of pickleball fans and boost your brand's visibility through NAPP events and social media. Visit napptour.com/sponsors to learn more and get involved in this quickly expanding, wildly popular sport. Connect with the passionate and active pickleball community today. That's napptour.com/sponsors.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
Pro sports, local sports, minor leagues, you got it all. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. Gregor Halley, Wanye Gretz, as the NHL returns tomorrow with a bang, 14 games tomorrow. Then on Sunday, I think they have 8 or 9. So you get everybody back in action. The Oilers are one of 12 teams who will play back-to-back this weekend. And they're actually one of 9 teams who play 3 games in 4 days as they play Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. They will take on Philly, Washington, and then Tampa Bay. They also have Florida on Thursday next week, and then into Carolina. So will we see Matthew Tkachuk in Florida on Thursday? Suppose he's limping pretty bad getting out of the rink. So maybe not. We shall see. Now let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Sports and Entertainment, innovative market leader, with teams including the Seattle Thunderbirds, the Spruce Grove Saints, HSL, the new Female Super League, and more, and big sponsors of the Blades of Steel Pond Hockey Tournament, where you can register, get in at cattailcrossing.ca. As we welcome in former NHL GM and Scout, Stanley Cup winner, ace analyst and scout for TSN, Craig Button, joins us. And Craig, it was a tournament that everybody was talking about. It exceeded even people who had real high expectations, likely exceeded them. The political thing that's going on right now with the lunacy of the 51st state got Canadians fired up. Americans were excited because they won a game and there was 3 tilts. Like for a short tournament, it packed a lot of punch.
Yeah, I guess literally and figuratively, and certainly I thought when you get these players that are the best on the planet, participating with and against one another, you're going to get a high level of competition. I really thought it would get to an 8 or 9 in terms of intensity. I think it got higher than that. I think it did get to a 10, and good on it, and good on the NHLPA and the NHL for conceiving the idea, but even more accolades to the players for investing and digging in and realizing how important it is not only to represent your country, not only to play a best on best, but to test yourself. And they come out of it knowing that they're better because of the experience. Hockey is better because we saw them play at that level. And when we think about everything that goes into best on best, and one of the things, and just give me a second here because I want to follow this up at the end of it, is that they push each other to even greater heights than they're capable of achieving on their own. And now they come back with this, I can push myself even further. And I think that's wonderful. Jason, I've heard many comments from many different factions of the league about, finally the league listened to the players. There's only one guy that screwed it up for the players in terms of best on best competition, and it was Donald Fear.
Yes.
When they did the CBA back in 2013 during the war, Donald Fear screwed it up, not the NHL. And people need to point at him and the representative of the players is the reason they didn't have best on best hockey. 22 was COVID. That was a pandemic. There was no way anybody was going to be able to participate. So it extended for a longer period. But the reason they fell out of best on best competition was because of Donald Fear not addressing it.
Yeah, 100%. I get the sense, Craig, that the new leader of the NHLPA is great for them, but also I think is going to be one who keeps Gary Bettman on his toes in a positive fashion, right? And has boatloads of experience in negotiating. And I think that this, for a long time there it was acrimonious, and I'm not sure who did it. I don't know if we're going to see that moving forward, and I think that's a good thing overall for both sides. But I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Donald Fear just I don't think he understood the importance of it, and I'm not sure he really ever listened to his main players on it. And now that it's here, my question to you would be: in 2028, What would be your ideal World Cup scenario and how it plays out? Not who wins, but what the format's going to be.
Yeah, I think that in a World Cup format, I mean, one of the things, and you have to have an NHL contract to play in this event. So I get it, NHLPA, NHL event. I know talking to Jari Lehtinen, the manager of Finland, he felt that and I talked to him in the summer and then in the fall, and he felt, geez, you know what, if we get injuries, some of our best players are not in the NHL, but they were forced to take players, and their depth of talent it isn't as good. So I think that has to be addressed. The injury thing and it will be addressed. I want to see a World Cup of hockey without the IIHF involved, quite frankly. But you can listen, if there's a couple of players from Czechia that are playing in Czechia, they can come over and play if they're allowed to come and play. That's how I see it. I see the Russians being in the World Cup of hockey. I see Switzerland. The hard thing to do is what do you do with those players? And Andrzej Kopitar will be a little bit older. I'm not going to say he's not capable of playing, but what do you do with Draisaitl and the Germans?
Yes.
What do you do with the Danes and everything? I go back to 2016, and I think it was a great idea, the unified whatever European team, and maybe that's something you can do. I don't know if you can or you can't, but I think you have to explore the different ideas. But I think it has to. I mean, can you imagine him a World Cup of hockey and one of the very best players on the planet and Leon Draisaitl can't participate? They got to find a way to get him to participate. Full stop.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I could see a few games being played in Europe to start the tournament. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see.
I'm with that too. That would be that would also have the Czechs and the Swedes, if they have some players that are playing in their leagues over there, you go over there. I those ideas, Jason, let's open them up and let's discuss them. Let's just not say no to them. I think that's really important.
Craig Button joins us. So Craig, the tournament was obviously was a success. The Americans would be the only ones who didn't like the end result, but I think it's still a win for them. They got a lot more people watching their game and their sport and get everybody fired up, which is good. And now we get into kind of a sprint to the finish, the final third of the season. A lot of games, pretty much an average of a game every second day. There's 54 days left in the season. The Kings have 29 games. The fewest is 50, but lots of them are averaging 27, which is one every second day. And, we're under officially 2 weeks to the trade deadline. And which team do you think is going to make the biggest splash or looks to make the biggest splash amongst the contenders?
Well, I'm glad that you focused in on the contenders. I mean, you have this part of the season where you've been able to evaluate the strengths of your team. You're looking at your team and with respect to where do you want to be a little bit stronger? Where do you feel you got to, and then you know what your opponents are. So I think that there's opportunity out there. One of the things we saw with the Ratman Natchez trade, one of the things I think, we look at these trade bait boards and they're just populated with guys who are going to be unrestricted free agents. I think you have to look outside the box. The cap is going up. There's certainly with the cap that extends out 3 seasons beyond this one, which I think gives you opportunity to explore different options. And listen, when we were in what I called the COVID CBA, the cap wasn't up. You had to really look at where you weren't adding salary. You had no room. Well, now there's room. And I think when you have room, you better be imaginative. You better be creative. You better start looking outside of it. And I look at the trade bait boards and everything. I got to be honest with you. 60% of the players I don't want. I don't want them. I know their contracts are expiring. You know what I call them? I call them, oh, geez, we needed a guy and we couldn't get the guys we wanted, so we'll settle on this guy. Yeah. And so I think that, let's just look at Edmonton, okay? I really think, and I think you and I agree on this, I really think they need a winger that can play on the second line that can score. I keep pushing Alex Tuck. Now, is it Alex Tuck? I don't know if it's Alex Tuck, but a player like that, size, skating, scoring. That type of a player that can, and now I look at it and I go, holy geez, what kind of line would that be with Kane, Draisaitl, and Tuck? That type of player. I think Emberson has come in and done a really nice job. I think Klingberg looks like he can stabilize things and keep his game in order. You're always trying to add a little bit of depth on your blue line and deeper in your lineup. But I look at right there, that's something that I look at the Colorado Avalanche. They need a second line center. Well, so do the Winnipeg Jets. And I think the Winnipeg Jets need a number 5 right shot defenseman. So I think David Savard fits there. You know, I start to look at the Vegas Golden Knights, who are a good team. I look at the LA Kings. LA needs some scoring. LA is no different now than they were back in 2012 when they traded for Jeff Carter. Good team, great defensively, need scoring. Gaborik in 2014. So those are I think that when I look at those teams and I zero right in on what I think they need, those are the teams that I'm watching for to see what they can do to solidify their team. I think the Tampa Bay Lightning need 1 or 2 third-line players. Oh, yeah, like Coleman and Goudreau when they went on their Stanley Cup runs. Those types of players, I think, will help Tampa Bay. So it's not so much who do I think will make the biggest splash. I think those teams that in Florida, we can put them in there, those teams that see themselves as contenders, I think you better address those areas. Because if you haven't, then you're going into the playoffs not as strong as you could be.
Well, one name out there, a lot of people are like, hey, Yanni Gourde could help our team. Well, it was announced today he's retroactive on LTIR dating back to January 4th. So obviously he hasn't played since then. And I just wonder, Seattle's a team that whatever you could get for Yanni Gourde would be a win for that organization because, you got to get something. That could be a big blow. And if indeed he's out long term and maybe if some of the teams are like, well, geez, we're going to take Yanni. Now we get him on LTIR. You know what? We're only going to play for a week or two. Well, all of a sudden, the return becomes much lower.
Well, let's look at being a little creative, Jason. And I know you have creativity. So what happens if you say, I'm trading for Yanni Gourde right now, and I'm not only going to take the potential of getting him, but I'm going to take his LTR money and be able to use it to get somebody else.
Yeah, well, there is that too.
And maybe benefit from not only the money you get off the LTIR with Yanni Gourde, but if Yanni Gourde is healthy, you get him to come back and play. That's a win-win.
Yeah.
That's the creativity I'm talking about. I mean, Jamie Alexiak. I mean, I think that Jamie Alexiak would be a great addition for somebody looking to add some blue line help, a big, 100%. Strong, steady, right? So, Seattle's out of it. Anaheim's out of it. San Jose's out of it. Buffalo's out of it. We can look at the teams that are clearly out of it. And Montreal's out of it. So you better start looking at where those players are and how you can add them to your group. Jake Evans has been a really good player, kills penalties, takes faceoffs, adds a little bit of scoring. Yoel Armia's had a great season for the Montreal Canadiens. I mentioned David Savard, but you got to lock David Savard right into that number 5 right shot defenseman hole. He's not a top pair or second pair defenseman, but he's a penalty killer, big, heavy. He can give you 18 minutes, and you need that come playoff time. So I think there's different areas. We talk about Alexiak, we talk about Gourde. There's lots of different areas you got to look at, and I think you got to look Nashville. What's Nashville interested in doing? Ryan O'Reilly. What else are they interested in potentially doing? There's a lot of places that I'm going to be exploring with respect to seeing what I can do to strengthen my team.
Montreal, would you re-sign Jake Evans or trade him?
Well, I'd love to. I think there's 2 things with Jake Evans. I think that Jake Evans, if I can get the right term for him, I'd be happy to give Jake Evans a 3, maybe a 4-year term because, he's at that age where I think he's got that many years left. I'm not going much beyond that, but the dollar's got to fit. And, you look at other players, is it $3 million a year and you can get them for 3 and $9 million for 3, 12 for 4. It's got to fit there. Jake Evans with the cap going up, what are his expectations and what's the marketplace out there for him? So they also have Owen Beck coming, and you don't want to block Owen Beck. Okay. And Owen Beck is almost a facsimile of Jake Evans. Is he as good as Jake Evans right now? No, but in a year's time he could be. So you got to make sure you don't block your own players.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. What about the Flames, Craig? Would you consider Rasmus Andersson if you're Calgary now, or do you just hold on to him?
Well, Craig Conroy's been very clear. He wants to sign him. He wants to sign him long term. Now, I don't know what Rasmus's idea is. Here's where I'm at with Rasmus Andersson. If I'm Craig Conroy, you want to blow my socks off? Go right ahead. But I don't have to. If I'm Craig Conroy, I don't have to trade Rasmus Andersson. Don't have to trade him.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Craig, as always, my man, great stuff. Enjoy the games, and we'll have lots to talk about next Friday as we will be within a week of the trade deadline.
And look, you know what I'm going to do for the next 4 days when I'm watching NHL games? I'm taping them all, and I'm not going to watch them live. So then when I tape them, I'm going to play them at 1.5 times speed, so it'll look like the Four Nations face off.
Yeah, it will be the pace, but the pace won't be the same. That is totally fair. That's a big it's a big truth, my man. Awesome stuff, Craig. Thanks, man. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Craig Button from TS, and it's true, right? I think we can all agree with that. That's very true. Now we'll take a quick break. When we come back, I have an update. Oiler fans, some interesting news that could impact the trade deadline coming up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk. Elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
You've probably heard the word rehab before. But when GS Construction talks about rehab, we mean bringing aging infrastructure back to life. Water and sewer systems that keep our communities flowing. GS Construction needs skilled pros who know how to get it done safely and efficiently. And that's why we're hiring. If you're a foreman or a pipe layer, apply to a company that's building for Edmonton and area for 2025. Join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we restore. Visit gsconstruction.ca and join our crew today.
The Battle in the Cattails is coming February 22nd and 23rd at Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club. Bike, ATV, and for the first time ever, high-octane UTV ice racing. Feel the thrill as racers battle it out on the ice. Want to race? Register now at cattailcrossing.ca. Just want to watch? Grab your tickets on Eventbrite. Only $10 for individuals, $20 for families. It's going to be an action-packed weekend with all the high-speed ice racing at Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
4 friends helped out of the mud.
22 secret fishing spots found.
61 trails conquered.
Measure your Tacoma's reliability and memories, not just mileage. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2025 Tacoma 4x4 double cab SR5 from $113 weekly for 60 months at 6.99% with $7,430 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
Look good, feel good, play good. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for listening to Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
4:48. Well, I can officially tell you, Oiler fans, got some news. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. It's your one-stop shop. You like casino? You like cards? You like the games? Well, they do it all. PlayAlberta.ca. Lottery tickets. Get inside. Guess what? It's Positive Friday. And that means Lotto Max. Up for grabs. You get your tickets for tonight's draw. $40 million tonight. PlayAlberta.ca. Get your tickets for Lotto Max. Some Oilers news that could impact the trade deadline potentially, but Evander Kane has started skating full gear. He skated the last few days. I was told it was around, like 60% pace because he hasn't played a game since June, hasn't really skated. And so this is the start of him ramping it up. I was told no chance he's playing in March, but what if he's what if he's ready in the first week of April, right? So that's where some things. Now, the orders, if he's like, okay, you know what, I'm ready to go, it's April 10th. The orders could then put him on a conditioning stint to the American League, where he goes on to the LTIR conditioning stint that doesn't count against the cap. He would get 3 games in the American League. Those 3 games would occur on the 12th, the 13th, and the 16th, which is exactly when the Oilers play their final regular season game. All legal, all possible, if he opted to agree to do it. So just a few little wrinkles potentially for the Oilers.
What are reasonable expectations for Evander Kane, Gregor?
For me, I look at Kane when he comes back. He's in your bottom 6 to start because he hasn't played in so long, and I would fully expect him to be a physical presence. After that, how's his timing going to be? All that stuff, it's hard to say. It's difficult when you go that long without playing, and then you're trying to jump in to the playoffs. Now, the one thing that Kane has going for him is he's ultra confident in himself. He would fully believe that when he steps on the ice, I can be a difference maker, and that can help you, right? There's not going to be a ton of self-doubt. Kane doesn't really have that, so. That's a benefit. Now, does that mean he's going to be that? No, but he would think he would be. So that's the interesting one for Kane to kind of see where he's at. So, but keep in mind, he'll need at least a month. So I don't. It's just a matter of would he be ready before the end of the regular season or not. So that's going to be the challenge for the Oilers. Figure out how it goes in that regard. Let's get to 5 questions now, brought to you by The Brick and their mattress store. If you're having a tough sleep, you wake up, my neck's sore, I had a terrible sleep. Well, go see their experts at the mattress store because they can get you the right mattress, helps you have a better sleep. The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
I'll quickly vouch for that one, Jason. Forrest at The Brick helped us out big time. Unbelievable mattress. Question number 1. What was the biggest Connor McDavid goal? Last night's winner, the overtime winner to eliminate the Flames, or other?
Well, I would have to go with last night. Obviously it's a Battle of Alberta. That's huge. It's a playoff game. You move on. It's game 5. This is a 1-game take all. It's in overtime. You don't have a chance to come back in game 6 or 7. So I'm definitely going with this one. The nation's watching, basically the continent's watching. Well, you could even argue the world because there's some people over in Europe that are up late watching. But yeah, I would definitely go last night.
I tend to agree with my colleague here, Connor.
All right. Question number 2. Less than a year away from the Olympics getting going in Italy, what, if any, roster changes do you expect for Team Canada when puck drops in Milan?
Oh, there'll be quite a few. First of all, the roster will be bigger automatically, right? Now, most of the Olympics, it used to be a 25-man roster. I know they expanded it in 2022, but I wonder if that was due to COVID. So we'll see how many it is for that. So automatically have a few more. But I think there's going to be some guys who might not even make that roster who are on this team. I think you could see 4 forwards, right? Stone, Marchand, do they have the speed? And a year later, what does that Jarvis really bring? So, we'll see. Connect me, same thing. And then goaltending is up for grabs, man. I think Binnington's probably secured himself for sure as one of the 3 goalies, but after that, I think it's wide open. Hill and Montembeault didn't play, So it's not like they strengthened their cause or not. Now, if they play, oh, well, they were there before. I don't know. Maybe that comes into play. But I'm going to say if we look at, and I include, because technically they had 8 defensemen in the tournament, right? 8 defensemen. They had the 13 forwards. There was technically 24. So I will say automatically there'll be one change because there'll be a 25-man roster minimum. I'm going to say 5 changes.
Do they learn from their lesson, from their mistakes, Connor, and bring in Zach Hyman? Is this a one and done for Zach not being part of the national team? I'd bring him back.
Question number 3. From the Canadian roster, even guys that didn't play potentially quite as much as the others, do you think anyone from Team Canada will get traded before the deadline?
Well, if you look at the contract situation, like Brad Marchand's really the only one. There's lots of guys that are like non-starters at all. Now, I know Bennett's a pen in UFA, but Florida wants to win. They're not going to move him before the deadline. Or I shouldn't say there's always a chance, but I'd be quite surprised. Brad Marchand would have the best chance, and I think it's probably pretty low. The one interesting is Parayko and Binnington. Do teams looking now, but here's the thing. Binnington played great in the overtime and really in the whole game against US. I didn't have any problem with his game, but he was a little inconsistent earlier. So does that, teams might look and say, yeah, but he showed he can show up in the biggest game, right? He's won on the road in game 7 there. So I don't know. I think it's low chance anybody, but I would probably put Marchand as the best chance, and that's maybe like 15.
For contract reasons, I don't see anybody really get moved, but you never know. It seems to me there's been lots of shocking trades lately, and you never know what's going to happen.
Question number 4. We'll turn our attention to the NHL in the final stretch before the playoff. Outside of Edmonton, what team or storyline has you intrigued?
Well, Ottawa Senators, can they finally end their drought? They got a really favorable schedule. They're one. The Boston Bruins, what's going to happen to them? Are they going to sell off? Are they going to try to go for it? And the other interesting one for me is the Dallas Stars. A lot of LTI space all of a sudden. Is Jim Nill taking a big swing? And also Shea Theodore in Vegas. They got a little LTI space coming maybe too. So we'll see.
Vegas always has a trick up their sleeve. Connor, it's a trick question. There are no teams outside of Edmonton that are intriguing. I'll go with the Edmonton Oilers as the answer for question 4.
Fair enough. Final question for you guys. Tomorrow is National Margarita Day. Our engineer, Doug, made some margarita-flavored cupcakes. They're very delicious. So in honor of that and the rising temperatures, what would be your top 3 list of refreshing beverages, alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Very good question. Finally, something that the rest of us can think about, Connor. I'm a big fan of a vodka soda in a pint glass because a doctor told me a long time ago, if you're going to slow down your drinking, just hydrate more and you don't have to slow down your drinking as much. And I thought, well, this is a great thing. So vodka sodas in a pint glass, you come out net refreshed and net hydrated. Big fan. I love a Sub-Zero Bud Light. I love a Sub-Zero Coors Light.
Gin, half soda, half tonic, preferably Empress Gin. Go right there. I love that it changes colors too, and it's Canadian, so love it. I really, honestly, I love. I've never in my life did I ever drink soda water straight, like Perrier or anything right now. But when I to reduce drinking alcohol, I have a Perrier on the rock, like just with ice. And like, I don't know, the carbonation makes me feel like I'm drinking. So I like that. And I still obviously like a beverage. So I will take refreshing is a good question, but I'm going, I really like Belgian beers. So you can give me almost any Belgian ale and I like it cold, really, really cold.
What about a patented Bacardi Limon shot? That's refreshing.
Yeah, Bacardi Limon's really like my, I do like it a little bit in the summertime. It's more, that's like where I'm at on the rocks. Like if I want to get in one, then I'm like, hello, Bacardi Limon. It's unbelievable. Bacardi Limon and water. Because as you're right, Wanye, you like to hydrate as I consume alcohol. It does lessen the pain the next day. Cons, what about you?
Cool beer, always good. I'm a guy who also, in the summer has been known to swing by McDonald's, dollar drink days, get a nice crisp Coca-Cola, and can't beat a nice good glass of water. So beer, Coke, and water, it's probably my top 3.
All right. I like that. We got a lot of time. Hey, guys, what would it take for Draisaitl to get his Canadian citizenship? Well, he could get his Canadian citizenship, but that won't change who he can play for at world events because he's already played for Germany. You can't switch. They changed that rule a while back. Once you represent one now, you can't go back. Like guys who are dual citizenships, USA and Canada, they can't switch back and forth. Once you make the choice, that's where you stick. So even if Draisaitl wanted to become a Canadian citizen, he could do it, but it wouldn't change his status for playing.
I think the fact he played in the WHL as a kid should counteract that rule. I think they should let him play for Team Canada. Who made that rule? The International Space Station? Like, who has the jurisdiction?
But Leon Draisaitl also, he likes playing in Canada, but he's a very proud German. So he would, I don't think he would do it.
I don't think he would do it. I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, that's like saying Ham and Canadian, all of a sudden you've been playing over in Europe. Now you want to, join that other one just because? I don't think so. Especially because Germany's in you know what? You want to represent Germany and play for them and showcase. I think Draisaitl, his dad represented their country. His dad, I don't know if people remember this, in the 1992 Olympics when they went to overtime against Germany in the shootout. Do you know who took the penalty shot for Germany? Leon Draisaitl's father. So there's a lot of history there. You're very proud. It's not just, oh, you know what? We wanted to play for Canada. That's not how it works. It might work for you, but it's not going to work for him. And if it was your son, hey, son, we want you to go play for someone else, you'd be, pardon? No, it's not going to happen. And nor should it happen. Leon Draisaitl, he's the greatest German hockey player ever born. He is, you know what? He's huge in that country. And if he wins another Hart Trophy again this year and keeps playing the way he does, it just augments it more and more. And it inspires young Germans to be the next Leon Draisaitl.
We have a sister site, OilersNation.de, Gregor. I don't know if you know this, but German Oilers Nation.
There's huge, yeah.
They made their own site.
No.
It's all great. And
they come and they take a tour to Edmonton once a year. They see 5 games.
Oh, yeah.
Usually down a homestand.
Absolutely. And they have their own podcast and stuff like that. They always say, we as Oilers fans in Edmonton, we don't understand how famous and popular Leon Draisaitl is in Germany now. He really is one of their top sportsmen. They would be up in arms if he became a Canadian.
Oh, yeah. And it's never going to happen, man. It's never, nor should it happen. It's never going to happen.
Can't be Joel Embiid.
What?
Cameroon, USA. Now he wants to play for France.
What?
He's
With
chasing.
Wemby?
He's chasing rings. Well, chasing medals.
Rings. Is he really?
Yeah, he played for Cameroon. Then he went. He won a Olympic gold with the States this time around, and now there's reports he wants to play for France. He's eligible to play for all of them.
What is he, tri-citizen?
Pick your country and represent it. I would hate it if Leon did that. I think he's got to stick with his country.
Yeah. And trust me, Leon Draisaitl, in the typical Leon Draisaitl, if you ask him a stupid question, he'll just look at you what? He would think he would be offended by anyone suggesting that he should relinquish his German citizenship to become Canadian. No chance. And think about it right now, people. You think as a Canadian, you should ever ask that question? What's going on right now? Right? You got some clown suggesting we be the 51st state. Come on now. Let's get to the comment and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. And the midwinter tire event is on now. 20% off all in-stock tires, including all the big brands, Goodyear and more. Great savings, great tires, great service, fountaintire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
The Edmonton Oilers finally back in action tomorrow morning, taking on the Philadelphia Flyers out in Philly. Puck drop just after 11 o'clock. That means we've got pregame coverage starting at 10 a.m. with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Off the ice, Vancouver Canucks making a move, extending goaltender Kevin Langdon into a 5-year, $22.5 million contract extension. In the NBA tonight, the Toronto Raptors will take on the Miami Heat. That one gets going at 5:30. We also got the Grizz, Magic, Cavs, Knicks. The Bucks head to Washington. Rockets host the Timberwolves, Thunder in Salt Lake City, and the Kings hosting the Golden State Warriors. The WHL tonight, Oil Kings are taking on the Medicine Hat Tigers down in Medicine Hat. Puck drop 7 o'clock. Those two teams meet again Sunday night in Edmonton at 6. In the BCHL, the Spruce Grove Saints will host the Trail Smoke Eaters, and the Crusaders up against Coquitlam. Both those games starting at 7 o'clock in the Edmonton area. AJHL, you got the Kodiaks hosting GP, Whitecourt in Bonnyville. Devon hosts Calgary. Olds in Canmore, and Fort Max taking on Drayton Valley. And playoffs getting going at the collegiate level as the Golden Bears hockey program taking on the UFC Dinos. You got game 1 tonight, game 2 tomorrow, game 3 Sunday if needed. All games will start at 7. The Griffins will do the same out in Vancouver, taking on UBC, except all the games starting at 8 o'clock. And from the CFL, the Edmonton Elks signed American offensive lineman Devin Hayes. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and speed things up in the Cantork Racing Report with Colin Livingston. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, did you know you can get a free drink today?
Nice. I love free drinks.
Yeah, Booster Juice called your name today on the Booster Rewards app. So you get a free smoothie, booster mixer, or fresh juice.
Well then, why are we still sitting here just talking about it?
Watch for your name on the Booster Rewards app and social media. 2 names every day, all February long. Must be a Booster Rewards app member. For complete details, visit boosterjuice.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Oodle Noodle origins.
In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudell, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudell was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Oodle Noodle.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by in February as the 2024 model clearout continues. Cash in on rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
Come on, Ed. Nissan is proudly celebrating 60 years in Canada. The rugged Pathfinder is a powerhouse of towing capability and was awarded a 2022 and 2023 IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. Lease the 2024 Pathfinder SL Premium for 0.99% for up to 36 months. Plus, get $500 loyalty bonus for qualifying Nissan customers. Conditions apply. See nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
What is with the weather lately? Is it winter? Is it an early spring? It's like Mother Nature's a hockey referee that can't quite figure out what an offside or a penalty is. Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to make the right call for your vehicle. Whether it's antifreeze, washer fluid, wiper blades, or that mysterious part you swear you just replaced, Napa has you covered. Because your vehicle deserves consistency. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or napacanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Friday. How are you? And welcome back to the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, your one-stop shop. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. $40 million in Lotto Max tonight. You can get in on casino, instance, live dealer, and more at PlayAlberta.ca. Also, use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play. Text line has been humming all day. I love it. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our inbox. Get in there. Hey, guys, remember Kyrie Irving's trying to play for Australia. He was born there. And like, come on, really? It's crazy. Like, if you're switching around, like, to me, once you play for one during your career, that's where you should play. I think that's a fair rule. If you want to switch citizenship because of your life and everything else, well, that's totally different. But playing sports, I don't think you can just bounce around from country to country. That's it's not necessarily, I think, how it was meant to be. Let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. And I just want to give a huge shout out to GS Construction. They made a huge donation to the Gregor Foundation. That's 3 years in a row. They've been a real big supporter of Gregor's grads. And we're heading into the season again for the kids and for Taran and Kristen and everyone there. Huge thanks for them to always support and the young boys. It makes a huge impact in their life. So thank you very much from GS Construction. As we welcome in Mark Spector, who joins us from Philadelphia, fresh after a Canada victory in overtime. Spec, and one of the biggest moments of Connor McDavid's career was last night, scoring the overtime winner.
Yeah, it was funny. I talked to a couple guys at the practice today, and it's Zach Hyman said that the great players, they find the moment or the moment finds them, right? And you can't, there's the difference between being a really good player and somehow the great ones find themselves in the situation and then they bury it and they make. How many scoring chances did Connor McDavid have last night, Jay? How many grade A's you think? One?
Yep.
Yeah, and in it went. I think Austin Matthews had two in overtime, and he's probably widely known as the top goal scorer in the game. Probably had two in overtime alone. So it's just, there's always something a little magical when a guy like Connor McDavid gets it on his stick. That goal reminded me a little bit, Jay, of the one that beat Calgary in game 5 in Calgary, right, in overtime.
Yes.
Got it on a stick, on and off a stick.
Yeah, no, it was very quick. It was a nice play, Makar to Marner. Mitch Marner had his best game of the tournament by far and showed up at the right time.
Is that the biggest goal of Connor's career, Spec?
Oh boy. Yes, I think I would say yes. The only argument is it's not an NHL goal. It's not I guess let's go this way, guys. Before this, which was the biggest goal of Connor McDavid's career?
No, the Flames overtime goal.
Right. This is bigger than that.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
So I guess, Wanye, the answer is yes, this would be the biggest goal of his career.
Yeah, but he'll tell you he hopes it isn't because a Stanley Cup final game-winning goal would be massive as well. Or so we'll see where it goes. Maybe Olympic gold. You never know. Although I'm not sold the Olympic talent pool is going to be any better than what we saw at this. The rules are different. Everything else, but now the Oilers Spec they move ahead into Philadelphia. They skated today. Matt Savoy, Chris Knobloch confirms he is going to play tomorrow. Is he going to play with Leon Draisaitl?
I'm very sure that's how it's going to go. I asked Knobloch today if the old hockey thing about calling up the scoring player, the first line player, and playing him on your fourth line and giving him 6 minutes, and then wondering why he doesn't score. I said, are you cognizant of that? And Knobloch said, absolutely. That's not our plan. He's going to get minutes with the kind of players he should be playing with, and he's going to get opportunities. So he practiced today on Draisaitl's line with Podkolzin, as he has for the last 3 of the last 4 days in their practices. So I have no reason to doubt, Jay, that he will be flanking Draisaitl, which means he probably is going to get, 15 minutes of ice time tomorrow.
Yeah, potentially, depending on how many penalties there are, obviously. Because and the other thing is, did you happen to ask Knobloch? Will we see it? Because you're not going to get any power play time. Let's be honest here. It's like not a significant time. So, is there any thought about him getting on the penalty kill? Because if Kapanen's the guy coming out, he's their sixth penalty killer, so you could play him there.
Yeah, he could. That's the question you would ask. One I didn't. I got a hard time thinking the kid's going to come up, start killing penalties in his very first game for the Oilers. It's his second NHL game, not his first.
Yes. Played a whopping 3 minutes and 55 seconds in his first game
for the Buffalo Sabres. So, I would doubt it, but don't, maybe,
Well, he's been really good on the penalty kill down in Bakersfield. I don't know if you read my article, but Keith Gretzky was raving about Matt Savoy's play, and much of it didn't have to do with his offensive production. It had to do with a lot of the other elements of his game. So if he's up there, is Kapanen the guy out? Did you see who are the other lines?
Well, the top line had Kapanen centering Hyman and Nugent Hopkins. So that certainly tells me that McDavid walked back in the lineup, and Kapanen's probably the guy taking a day off, right?
And then they had Henrique with who? Arvidsson? Skinner?
They had Henrique with Arvidsson and wait a second, not Skinner. The fourth, Janmark centered the fourth line.
Okay. And was he with Brown and Perry, or where's Skinner?
He was with Brown and Perry. That's right. Henrique had Skinner
and Arvidsson.
Well,
okay. Well, that's a third line that on paper should be able to give you some production, for goodness sakes. Like, how many 20-goal seasons between those guys? Like, it'd be close to 20. So, they should be able to produce something, I would think, anyway. So we'll see. That the Flyers, like, this is the easiest game of the road trip, Spec. Is it's going to be Skinner starting in goal?
Yeah, Skinner starts in goal. So you'll get, I guess Pickard gets Washington.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like, Skinner was pulled in his last game. I thought they were going to go right back to him. There was no chance. I thought they were not going to go to him. You had the little tidbit of information that McDavid hitched a ride with the Flyers charter with his recent teammates in Sanheim and Konechny. And then, of course, John Tortorella, who's the coach for Team USA. And, now it's a quick turnaround. And all of a sudden, Konechny, who's a physical, feisty player, is going to be trying to knock McDavid's block off. Well, maybe not his block, but you know what I mean. And Sanheim's going to be defending him. It's kind of the unique element of this tournament is they go from teammates and everyone's super excited. And then 2 days later, it's like, all right, now I don't like you again. Here we go.
Yeah, and that's what these tournaments have always been about. I love that. I go back to the old days when it was when you took the Oilers and the old New York Islanders in those first Canada Cups, Jay, that was like better than half the team. Then they just filled in around those guys. So that's okay. I think it's fun. The fact that that McDavid caught a ride on the plane with Philly, I mean, that's a very nice thing for the Flyers to do. I listen. Daryl Cates would have sent his plane out here to fly McDavid around. McDavid wasn't at risk of flying economy on a Southwest flight to get to from Boston to Philly, but I'm sure the Flyers said, "Hey, we got a plane running. We got tons of room on it. Hop on." I think it's a very kind thing to do, and now they'll all try to score goals against each other Saturday in Philly. I'm all for it.
You can take the jet, Connor, but don't eat any of the food and don't accept any of the drinks. That's where we draw the line.
Yeah, and don't let them talk contract with you.
That's exactly it. Contracts come up, you put your headphones on, and you just keep flying.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Did Knobloch talk at all, Spec? Now, like, I fully expect McDavid to play, but is he going to try to limit it in minutes? It's easier said than done for sure, because McDavid's in such great shape. He always wants to play, and if it's a close game, like, the Oilers need points still. They're in a dogfight with Vegas.
Well, it's funny. I asked. Basically, Knobloch said it's Connor's decision. He wasn't at practice today. He wasn't in the building, McDavid. Yeah. Knobloch said, listen, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, if he wants a day off, he's got the day off. But nobody around here expects Connor McDavid to take a day off.
Okay. Chance.
Right? No chance. You don't. I don't. Wanye doesn't. Knobloch laughed. He doesn't. So we're going to assume we're all right and McDavid's playing in the game. It's actually funny. I had a nice chat this morning in the Flyers dressing room with Eric Johnson, and he talked about being in the Olympics. He played in Vancouver, and he said, it's like I said, when a guy gets back to join his team, isn't everything moving a lot slower in an NHL game than what they just played? And he said, it is, but you'd be surprised. There's quite a hangover after you've played in those games. He kind of likened it to the Oilers going to Game 7 and the hangover they took into the season this year, right?
Yes.
They just trying to get a lather up for those first 10 games. We all watched it, guys. The Oilers had a hard time with that, and he suggested that those players will go through a little bit of that. So, on one hand, you think McDavid would walk in here like getting on a slower moving train, but according to Johnson, it didn't quite work that way for him when he played.
No, and that would make sense, honestly, when you think about it, right? Like Corey Perry talked about how it's very emotional, right? Like you're on such a high, right? Like you win, like, hey, McDavid, he scored that goal. Like you don't hide the reaction, man. That's a massive goal, right? Like for him personally, for the country, your guys, you come together as a group, you have a goal and you achieve it and everyone's super excited. But, now you come back in. Now the Oilers, as Corey Perry said, hey, you want to be pros, and he knows what's at stake here. But I just think Leon Draisaitl was like, hey, don't worry, Connor. I can step up here, as he has all season long. But like McDavid, was obviously very joyful, as he should be, Spec. But did you notice when it came his turn to lift the trophy?
Yes.
It was very quick. It wasn't a full extension. And a lot of guys who had never won the Stanley Cup, I found their reaction to lifting it was a lot different than guys who have actually lifted the cup. They're like, well, hey, I've lifted the cup. I can lift this thing, no problem. And other guys are like up, down really quick, or not even a full extension. It was kind of unique. They're just like, hey, I like this, but I think there are some guys who are somewhat superstitious.
I got a couple of texts from people who, just friends and other media guys who said, hey, did you notice Connor? You think he's hurt? He couldn't lift the cup. And I thought, I think, we talked about that among the group of us. I talked about with Stan Bowman a little bit today, just cordially. And I think the agreement was, no, he's kind of saving that cup lift for Stanley. I don't think that's the pictures of him hoisting a trophy that has no past, Jason, and has no future, right? We never saw that trophy before, like 2 days ago, and we're never going to see it again. It's gone. So
yes.
Connor is the kind of guy that he thinks about that stuff. I wouldn't. He does. He thinks about, he probably doesn't want that lasting picture of him hoisting a cup that by about a week from now, no one's going to care about that thing, Jay. It's really going to be a piece of hardware that we've forgotten about. So I would say to you, he didn't hoist that cup because he's going to save the first hoist for who.
Spec, when he wins the cup, I'm going to get that image tattooed of him hoisting the cup inside my eyelids so I can watch it when I'm sleeping. That's how excited I am for Connor to hoist that cup.
Inside your... Yep. I thought you were going to get it on your rear end or something. But then
I need to see it when I'm sleeping. I need to never forget what I saw.
What's interesting, Spec, people. I honestly believe this tournament, though, will be remembered for quite some time because there's no guarantee that Canada and the U.S. meet in the Olympic final. There's no guarantee they meet in the World Cup final in 2028. And when they do meet again, the chance of there being 3 tilts in 10 minutes and, a physical game, a crowd going crazy, the political landscape and everything, I don't think people are going to forget about the four nations anytime soon. I really don't. I think the play was that good, but there's lots of other things that were part of it as well.
I think you have to take what I said literally. I agree with you. This tournament, the NHL had no clue what they were getting here. I just saw the ratings. It's the most watched hockey game, I think, in American history. So the tournament will remember it. That goal will remember it. The trophy, you can look at that trophy one day and go, okay, what's that trophy from? It kind of looks a little bit like the Grey Cup, but not quite. Kind of looks like the trophy that Fred put on Barney's head that day on the Flintstones. So the tournament, Jay, we're going to remember it for a long time. The hardware, not for 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, the hardware, you're bang on about that, Spec. Lastly, what about the Flyers? You're in Philly. What's the sense? Are they going to try to make some moves here? They're going to be shipping out some guys?
I don't know. It's a good question. They don't really have a lot of guys, UFAs. You'd have the list in front of me. I was out with Kevin Kurz watching the game last night, and he wasn't looking forward to a really active trade deadline. They don't have a ton of guys Like for instance, a guy like Scott Lawton, I think he has a year left in his deal. And as I recall, a year ago, Lawton was very much a rumor at the trade deadline. But, Philly's at a point, guys, where they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. But I think they feel like it's time to start hanging on to good players. I think they feel like, it's my prediction that Rick Tocchet's going to be coaching that team next year. I think Rick's going to walk from Vancouver, and him and Jones and his history here in Philly. Coaching the Flyers next year. And I think they're going to be ready to start making the playoffs. So they might have a couple guys teams want, but I think the Flyers want them more. At some point, you can't give away all your good players.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
Year-olds, right?
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, like, giving away Scott Lawton to get a second and a third, what does that really do for you? I don't think it makes you any better. I'd argue it makes you way worse. So you lost a legit player for draft picks that have, 18 and 12% chance of panning out. So
they just moved Frost and Farabee, two former first-round picks that clearly the Flyers gave up on, right?
Yeah.
They moved them for Pelletier, who I don't know if he'll play, and Kuzmenko, who's an expiring UFA. I don't know. Could you move Kuzmenko? I guess you could move Kuzmenko. I'm not sure a playoff team thinking it's going to take a deep run wants Kuzmenko. I don't know. It doesn't strike me as a playoff player.
No.
So my point is they just freed up. I think Farabee had 3 years left at $5 million, if I'm not mistaken. So they freed up some cap space. They're in a position to maybe, to take a run at a free agent. So does anyone want Ristolainen? I mean, his name comes up every year, doesn't it?
Oh, well, I think teams would be interested in him for sure. But how healthy is he, right? That's a question.
Yeah, he's often not very healthy. So, it's time for Philly to get going here. They're another one of these Eastern rebuilds like Detroit and Buffalo and Ottawa and Montreal. Like, how long are you going to be bad for? I think Boston and Pittsburgh and the Islanders are three, playoff teams out here, Jay, that are starting to falter. I think they're on the decline. And I think among that group I listed of the rebuild teams, Philly wants to be one of them that starts getting into playoffs here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they got a ways to go still, to be honest. But we shall see. Spec, enjoy the weekend of games. We will chat with you on Monday.
Thanks, boys.
It's a Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. We'll return and we're going to switch gears, no pun intended, on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like jobs. the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations at Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
It's the month of the heart, and Sherwood Honda has heartfelt thanks for your support. Knowing your heart, Sherwood Honda is devoted to your best care. Whatever your auto needs, a dealership and a family, each department is here to make your buying experience stress-free and enjoyable. We actually want you to have fun, and we're slightly obsessed with making customers happy. There's still such a thing as an auto buying experience with heart, and we sure would love to prove it to you.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through Positive Friday. How are you? Of course, Oilers back in action tomorrow. Remember, it's an early start, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Puck drop will be about 11:08 a.m. both Saturday and Sunday. They're in Philly tomorrow, then they're in Washington to take on Ovechkin. The Capitals are also playing back-to-back, so there won't be any real big advantage there. It looks like it's Thompson playing in Pittsburgh tomorrow, so it'll be Lindgren versus Pickard on Sunday. It's going to be Stu Skinner going in goal tomorrow for the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid, of course, expected to play as he should be. Why wouldn't he? I don't see any reason why he wouldn't play. They might limit his minutes here or there. We'll see how the game goes. But the Oilers, hey, that's their easiest game of the road trip. They need to win. So you want to start it with the bang after the loss going into the break, and really some kind of sloppy play in the wins over St. Louis and Chicago as well. But it's been a while, so we'll see. Now, usually we do this on Thursday, but it's big game day. We switched things up. We had some reasons change, so we'll get to the racing report brought to you by Cantork. And hey, they got they always have new stuff at Cantork, but more importantly, they got pneumatic torque. What we like, Struds likes to call them nut huggers, but they're not nut huggers. Colin Livingston joins us now. Colin, let's get the official term, not the Struddy term. How you doing?
You know what? I'm doing okay for a working guy. A little bit rough today. I've done a number of these teachers conventions. Obviously, my girlfriend is a teacher. These people put industrial, salespeople to shame for the way that they get after it. My goodness. I mean, I've kind of tagged along to a couple of these things in a couple of different districts. And I'll tell you what, man, these, I know the teachers out of the classroom.
Oh God, they go, they like to have fun.
It's impressive. Yeah, I mean, I've probably been saying it wrong this whole time. I mean, Struddy knows way better than I do. We're just going to go ahead and call them nut huggers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No.
I mean, the technical term they say is nut runner, but
yes.
I don't know. Yeah. I like the idea that our tools really, embrace your industrial threaded fasteners.
Yeah. Why not? Now, we'll get to some racing, but there's huge the kart simulation software, the hardware for the kart sim that's going on right now. It's at kart-sim.com is where you can check it out for anybody in the kart. Like this is going to be massive for all those people in the karting world.
Yeah, I mean, game changer is a kind of an overplayed cliche, but really appropriate for this situation. I got introduced to these guys here. I've been watching their stuff for over a year, but they didn't have any software for North America. And towards the end of like September, October, noticed that they had finally put out a North American package, made contact with the principal there, happened to meet him personally when I was at PRI in November, and we've been off to the races. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I had to skip one of the shows. I was actually over in the UK and met with Kart Sim because I wanted to see firsthand what their operation was about. And really excited that we've been appointed, or we've been authorized, that we'll be working with these guys starting this year to distribute their software, their hardware, and their peripherals.
And so basically it's like for anybody out there, you can get the opportunity, to do a simulated race on these tracks. So people can practice on the track that they're going to go race at in advantage. And that's just, that's a huge advantage. It just gives you, better reaction time when you actually come to race day, correct?
Yeah, it's multifaceted, that you can learn the tracks in advance. So we've got a driver under our CRG stable that is heading down to the States here in a couple of weeks at a brand new track. Nobody's really got experience there. She's going to be able to come in here, get on our full motion simulator. It's not, it'll work just fine for what she needs to do, but the karting simulators are, properly set up. So you're in a true karting position, with a proper, steering wheel, exact karting pedals. But anyway, it'll be good enough to at least learn the corners, but, instead of getting there, days in advance so that you can learn the track, which takes fuel, takes tires, takes time. It's truly going to put her, well ahead of the curve. And this is going to be something that we'll be doing, in-house here, is have, coaches, whether it's myself or some of our professional coaches, to be able to work with up and coming drivers, existing drivers, to really help in real time see what they're doing, to be able to talk through the process and, really sharpen driver skills.
So if anybody out there is interested, they just go to Kart, that's Kart with a K, -sim.com, and then get all the information there.
Yeah, you could do that, or they can also, we haven't loaded it yet, but eventually we'll be promoting everything on crgracing.ca. That's our racing site.
crgracing.ca. Okay, perfect. F1 season's getting close around the corner. And man, hey, Lewis Hamilton, if you're going to make a change and you're going to commit, man, this guy's fully committed. He's started to learn Italian. He's already given a short speech to their staff, and he's living in a motorhome down by the river. No, I'm kidding. He's living in a motorhome beside the former home of Enzo Ferrari.
Yeah, he is absolutely 100% immersed himself in that Ferrari culture. He's talked about how he's able to, basically wake up, walk into the factory, get to the simulator, talk to the crew, work on ideas. He said that there have been a number of nights that they've worked until 10, 11 o'clock. And he said, what's really cool is that nobody, these guys are employees. They're getting paid, either salary or by the hour, but they have a life outside of racing. It's like, nobody's complaining about wanting to go home. Nobody's, everyone is 100% committed to the project. And yeah, they were on track yesterday, 2 days ago, for their formal release party of the car, and their first on track of the 2025 car. And the fans actually started chopping down trees around the racetrack in the Ferrari test track. so that they could get a better view. Now, the guy who did that actually got charged by the police today. I just read that before we went live, but really cool. Everyone seems to be on board. Now, early days and nobody knows what this car is going to do and how it's going to stack up against what everybody else has done, but there's sure a ton of excitement, for everyone in Maranello.
Oh God, yeah, like you're bringing in Lewis Hamilton now. One change, and man, I've obviously watched a lot more F1 the last few years than I ever have, and I get the history of the track, but Monaco might be the worst track for me to watch. Like there's barely any passing, nothing happens, and now they're going to increase the number of mandatory pit stops at Monaco. Why? What's their reasoning?
Well, they can't change what's happening on track. Like last year, the top 10 did not change positions once throughout the race. There wasn't any kind of, there wasn't an on-track pass. There wasn't anything that happened pit road. What they're hoping is if you don't execute these pit stops perfectly, it can cause an issue, and that might lead to some on-track action. Right. Again, my contention is that Monaco is long past suitable for Formula One cars.
Yeah, they're too big and fast.
Yeah, it's a cool city, and yes, there's history, but the product that they're producing is terrible. It's not racing. It's, to me, it's the same equivalent to what happens for NASCAR at Daytona and Talladega, where it's just a big pack of cars running around where you know that there's not, Daytona and Talladega have at least a little bit of passing, but you've also got drivers that lay off until the last 5 laps. Like that to me is not racing either, but it's at least the FIA saying and Formula One saying, we want to try something. But again, I think Monaco is long past its expiry date. There's so many more amazing tracks around the world that could benefit from a race. And even if they want to keep Monaco as part of the calendar, do it, but do it as like an exhibition, do it as a nostalgia, do it in older cars, or realistically, F1 could also realize that these cars have gotten way too big, way too heavy, that if they're going to keep moving towards street races, they need to really, really bring the cars back to where they were in even the 90s or the early 2000s, where they might have a shot of being able to compete on these tracks.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like to me, it kind of seemed weird. Here we go. We know we can't get passing, so we'll try to hope for a mistake in the pits, which, like, no offense, if a guy has a 3.4 second pit instead of 2.6, I don't think that's riveting television. And everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe that 0.8 of a second difference in the pit. That really made my vision of enjoying the game much better. Now, speaking of Daytona, I'm sure you were loving watching that final lap where, Hamlin's in the lead and all of a sudden it's chaos and the guy comes out of 5th place in the last lap to win. And it's just like NASCAR's like, oh, this is great. Like I'm stunned by it. Like it just, you're just allowed to run guys off the road down the stretch. And someone's like, well, I'll take a chance. If I don't win, then someone behind me is going to win. I just know the guy in first isn't going to win.
To be honest, I didn't watch. I saw one of the highlights where one of the cars went upside down. I can't watch the pro level of NASCAR anymore, just because there's too much behind the scenes and there's too much that's changed with the way that they administer rules and the playoffs and this, behind the scenes manipulation where if somebody's too far ahead, they find a way to throw a caution because they always want everyone packed up. It's just when you try and make everything maximum exciting all the time, it's no longer exciting. Instead of trying to focus on building a product, like, NASCAR racers are great drivers. I don't want to take anything away from them, but the way the sport's evolved and the way that the rules have evolved and these cars have evolved, it's not great racing anymore. And they're trying to focus on things that, they're not focusing on the racing for sure. All they're focusing on is, look at how close the cars are. We had this great accident. They always call it the big one. And eventually someone's going to get hurt. I mean, the last guy I remember getting hurt in one of those was Ryan Newman, and it basically ended his career. I really think they need to kind of go back to the days where, drivers could actually modulate the throttle. They could actually pass. The aerodynamics weren't so important. Like, they need to take the technology out of these cars to free them up and let these drivers show what they can do. And where you get guys like Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch and, a guy like Denny Hamlin, these are great race car drivers, but they're kind of held hostage by the format of what the series has become. Again, I can't watch it because it's so over the top. It's, again, it's vehicular entertainment. It's not racing.
Colin, great stuff, man. I really appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Enjoy it, and we will chat with you next Thursday.
I'm going to go rip some laps here at Orlando in the kart simulator.
All right. Well, don't crash. Good luck.
I can. It doesn't cost anything. It's perfect.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. That's Colin Livingston. The Racing Report brought to you by Can Torque, not runners, not others. There you go. Quick break. We'll come back. Wanye's World and More on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet every week all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
It's getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
When you live in northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, northern Alberta. And all starting from just $34,900. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
The 4th annual Blades of Steel 3-on-3 pond hockey tournament hits the ice Saturday, March 1st at Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club. Men's and ladies divisions, teams of up to 8 players, and cash prizes. $2,000 for first place. Entry just $600 per team, including jerseys, hot lunch, and a drink. Register now at cattailcrossing.ca. Don't miss out. Hockey, prizes, and community fun await you. The Blades of Steel 3-on-3 pond hockey tournament. Information and registration at cattailcrossing.ca.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Snow removal contractors and community leagues. The tools you need are available at the prices you want. Now at the Lawnmower Hospital. Save up to $1,300 and get a free Echo backpack blower. All of BCS's industry-leading belt-free snow sweepers are on sale. And you'll get the powerful Echo PB9010 backpack blower free with select models. Find out more at thelawnmowerhospital.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
He's done it all. Grammy Awards, Billboard hits, over 10 million albums sold. Live in 2025, River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents the one and only T.I.
March 8th in the venue. TI Live. Tickets on sale now at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Diablo Boots in Canada West, the two best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwick, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save on Foods.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. We wrap it up. Gregor, Halley, Wanye Gretz with you. Let's get to Wanye's World, brought to you by Action Electrical. They can only help you on your savings. You've been sitting on the fence thinking about wanting to get solar for either your home or your commercial building. Well, right now with commercial building, you get huge savings to 30% off. Check it out, and they'll help you all through the paperwork. That's actionelectrical.net.
One thing I was struck by, Gregor, during the Four Nations Cup is that, we spend a fair amount of time thinking about promoting the game and growing the game and how can you market the game. The best marketing for the NHL is the biggest games they can create. And not having had best on best international play for 10 years should go down when you look at why has the MLS passed the NHL for viewership? Why is the NHL being outdrawn on many nights by WNBA games on TV? The opportunity to grow the game for the last 10 years has been fumbled by the NHL. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
No question. I think the NHL and Craig Button, we had him on earlier. He was correct. The NHL, the previous leader of the NHLPA was Donald Fear was horrible for the PA, absolutely horrible. I don't think that's the case anymore. I would argue this is probably the best leader they've ever had, honestly, and he's the best guy to kind of have meetings with Gary Bettman, where I think this is a guy that puts not Bettman on his heels per se, but Bettman's like, okay, this guy's no joke, and I think that's better for them. You know what? Yeah, good games is great. They have to, more personality is something I think they need. Promote the raw intensity of the game, no question. I think there's little things that they can do, increase rivalries, have back-to-back games where you play, Edmonton plays Calgary on Saturday. They play Edmonton and Calgary again on Sunday. The Oilers fans love it. Flame fans love it. No one else around the league doesn't. They don't mind it. You don't have to do every game, but do it. Rangers, Islanders, back-to-back games. What are we doing? Right? Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Right? Go down the list. There's lots of teams that have Tampa, Florida. Right? So little things like that, that's a scheduling thing that you can hype up and promote. Right? Have a rivalry weekend every year now. Right? And you look and say, okay, Vancouver's with Seattle. Done. Montreal, Boston. Done. Toronto, Ottawa. Right? Minnesota, Winnipeg. You can find ones and then do that every year. Rivalry weekend. Right? We're playing Friday, Sunday for some. Others are going to be Sunday, Saturday. Away we go. And to me, Friday, Saturday. So you split it up, right? So they're not all playing at the exact same nights. But to me, those are little things that you can do that just builds it for your fan base. And then people who aren't fans oh, geez, Edmonton, Calgary again. All right, I'm getting into this. Right? Those are simple things that should not be very difficult.
Seeing how excited people got about the 3 fights to start the game, is there anything the NHL can do in the CTE concerned era we live in to allow fighting to play a larger part in the game? Clearly, there's a casual fan, and we saw this with Canada-US fighting. There's a casual fan that loves fighting. And the emergence of the UFC as one of the major sports in the world shows there's an appetite for fighting. And hockey is the only one of the big 4 leagues that allows it. Is there a way that the NHL can embrace fighting, or is it just too controversial in this day and age?
You don't have to promote it, but you also don't have to be afraid of it in the way the game is played now, where you don't have the hired gun as the fighter, right? Gone are the guys who played 4 minutes a night And it was a terrible role that they played 4 minutes and they had to fight the other behind. And these guys were they were spending all summer training boxing. They weren't working on their hands, picking pucks off the wall. It was like, I got to know how to fight better. So you know what? I can keep my job. You don't want that. Like when you have Brady Tkachuk and Sam Bennett and Brandon Hagel and Matt, guys who play lots of minutes who are doing that, that's awesome. Right? Like when Ty Emerson fights once or twice a year. No, and I Pod Coles and guys who play and can do it. I have no problem with that. And you're always, when you don't promote it to just have fighting, then you don't have just the pure fighters anymore. And you're going to have guys who are willing to do it because, hey, it takes a lot of courage to get in a fight. And it takes a lot of courage to want to do it in front of 18,000 people live in the building, not to mention all those watching on TV, on the internet, everywhere else. But it's part of your game. And I think it's an okay part of your game to have it that, hey, we're not going to try to downplay it anymore. We're not going to augment it and be like, fight. But I do think it's part of the game. And you look at all the numbers and, how many injuries have we seen from fighting now that we've reduced, the big super heavyweights? Right now, a guy's going to break his hand every now and then, but a guy's going to break his foot blocking a shot. What's the difference?
I think in the next 10 years, there being 5 international bests on bests versus 0 in the past 10 years. I think you're going to see the game start to grow again, and it needs to.
Oh, 100%. Like it has to, it has monumental growth in the United States, but even in Canada, like a lot of people have lost faith in Hockey Canada, rightfully so. They got to repair things, and it starts at the grassroots level. There's lots of different things you can do at all levels of hockey to get people back engaged, right? The one challenge they have is cost. And the greed at times of the owners, they're claiming they're making all these billions of dollars. And guess what? They're making it off of charging fans more and more money. And that's a concern. But that's something for another day. We don't have time. Wanye, have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. We will chat with you next Friday. On behalf of Wanye, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Have a spectacular weekend. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the games. Please don't drink and drive. Don't be inebriated. Get home safe and sound. Here's the Con Man of Sports 1440 update. Brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm for the rest of the winter at legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
The Oilers finally back in action tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Pre-game coverage here on Sports 1440 gets going at 10 a.m. with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson. Tonight in the association, the Raptors are in action. Not the ideal start they would have looked for. They trailed the Heat 12-4 early on in the first quarter. Elsewhere, Cavs up on the Knicks 59-43. The Grizz have a 36-30 lead over the Magic, and Bucks trail the Wizards 44-30 in the second quarter. Later tonight, Spurs host the Pistons, Pelicans in Dallas, Jazz taking on the Thunder and the Warriors in Sacramento. In the WHL, the Oil Kings taking on Medicine Hat at 7 o'clock. The two teams meeting again Sunday night in Edmonton at 6 in the BCHL. Spruce Grove Saints hosting Trail, Crusaders hosting Coquitlam. Both those games starting at 7 o'clock. And in the AJ, you got the Kodiaks up against GP, Whitecourt in Bonneville, Devon hosts Calgary, Olds and Canmore, and Fort Mac takes on Drayton Valley. Golden Bears hockey team in action, playoff hockey taking on the University of Calgary Dinos. Game 1 tonight, Game 2 tomorrow, Game 3 Sunday if needed. All those games will start at 7 o'clock. The Griffins will do the same out in Vancouver, taking on UBC, except all their games start at 8. Coming up next here on Sports 1440, it's Fox Sports Radio. We've got live coverage tomorrow morning starting at 9 a.m. with the Saturday Sports Setup, followed by pregame coverage with Andrew Walker. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.